it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. You're overdue. I just felt it's something that makes you look good, and that's cool, and you know, I'm all for it, but I think you need to tone this down because now it's getting obtrusive to the show. But they can go in the afternoon for a U.S.
Hold
show,
on a second.
as they did there, and they
Dave?
can do 180,000 buys for an afternoon show, which they've also done for All In. So
Okay,
we
hold
know
on.
they can do. We know they can do big.
Can I
numbers for an
continue
afternoon
this before you cut me off? We
Yeah,
know
go ahead.
one thing.
Yes.
We know it
No,
might have done well because
I'm
it went
not-
on first.
I'm not saying it would.
Here's my thing, Dave.
But here's okay. Wait. Okay, here's the thing. Oh my God! It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it didn't mean anything to me. It was just a match.
That's the problem, Dave. It should mean something to you.
Give him a quick squash win just to show that, like, you know, he's not a loser.
What's happening, guys? Welcome to another eclectic edition of Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week. Hashtag DMDMW 33, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Phil S. Marks. StreamYard messed up my sounds again, and they're all unorganized.
For, you know, the young
It's really...
superstar, you know, babyface, you know, the former heel thing. So
really super annoying. On tonight's show, Dave Meltzer continues to pitch AEW to Paramount as if he's trying to make a sale or something. Kendal Grey rejects him and his 5-star ratings. Forbidden Door cope, and I don't mean Edge, okay? Dave Meltzer and Brian cope a little bit about the build to this Forbidden Door and the go-home show that was Dynamite last night, Time Cop. So without further ado, guys, make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you hit heart or retweet. Patreon.com is pinned to the top of the chat or linked down below. Patreon.com/Pro Wrestle Times for bonus episodes of Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week and more. Make sure you show your support for PWT. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is time for everybody's favorite show, which was a segment, but now it's a show, and it is called Dave Meltzer's Dumb Moment of the Week.
Where's the guy that has papers everywhere in this room?
So Dave Meltzer was on a bit of a tangent here this week, and he's glazing the NXT women's roster in general. Not only did he give Natty versus Jada Parker a 4-star match on NXT, which is pretty impressive. And not only is Dave catching up to everyone else who's been like, man, the women in NXT are actually crushing. It's, you could argue, the best women's roster at one point. I've said forever, there's a bunch of these ladies in NXT who should be on the main roster, especially from a wrestling capacity, and a lot of the character work from some of these ladies. Dave now doling, and you know he doesn't factor any of that into. He just likes moves. So when he gives 4 stars, they just did some moves that he liked. And he actually watched. That's all it is. He actually just wasn't typing. He looked over and actually watched it. Was like, oh my God, Brian, it's just amazing. And so on top of the 4 stars, Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez had this to say.
And then, yes, the main event was Kendal and Lola versus Kalani
He actually kind of buries AEW comparatively, and I'll explain why in a moment.
and Zarya. And they had a very good main event.
I thought it was great.
And
I thought that you know, Kendall's always great, but I thought that Kalani Jordan and Lola Vice, I thought they were just tremendous in this match. And Zarya,
Yeah, they've both been tremendous. Kendal Gray's the newest on the scene, and Dave's like, oh, the greatest I've ever seen, Brian.
it too.
Yeah, everybody looked good.
Everyone looked good. Everyone was spot on. They were quick. I mean, this was way better than like main roster AEW and WWE matches. Women.
So listen to that. Way better than AEW roster. And meanwhile, he's trying to sell this show for you, Tone. This is your number one advocate objectively. Everybody can see it. This is your number one advocate, Tone. You know, like the OTC and Paul Heyman? This is your advocate, dude. Dave Meltzer. Okay, he's literally writing in the Observer what he would pitch to Paramount and why they should buy in. Okay, and so I wrote this. Imagine you work for AEW and your boss openly calls this Muppet and books for him. He books for him. And he says, and then Dave says shit like this. This is better than all the women in AEW because he has a crush. Because he has a crush and person whose neck he wants to see broken. Start calling this fucking clown out and save AEW. I'm telling you, man. Got to start calling this guy out. He's burying the whole women, all Monet. So Monet ain't shit. This is better than Monet. All that shit. They're Hazuki. What's her name? Hazuki and Monet. They tried to do their match from San Antonio, Brian. And it was spectacular. So all of that shit he's saying, he doesn't even believe it. Just Kendal Grey because he has a crush on her and wants to see her crush her neck. So he can just give out 5 stars. He wants to see her leave WWE, so then he's allowed to give out 5 stars to her because he's got a boner. And then he just buries the whole women's roster in AEW. Wow. This is who Tone books for, who he calls on the phone, who Tone said all the way back in 2019, I promise, Dave, I'll never book a bad Dynamite again for you.
Matches. Not saying. Occasionally there might be some in that same league, but this just seemed way better.
Well, the two main women's matches on the show were both.
I can't remember the last women's match on WWE as good as either of those two.
They were very good.
It's maybe something with Io Sky and maybe, but even recently I haven't seen Io Sky match as good as those two matches.
So Tatum shows up in the
Jesus Christ. So then recently I haven't seen a good Io Sky match as good as those two matches. Right. But it's so recency bias, Dave. So your bias beyond just AEW, but it's like a recency thing as well. Well, I saw this and it was, Io Sky could have a match at the highest of level and has had multiple, but that's just pooped out of your brain because you need to bury everyone else. Kendal Gray's always good, but Kalani Jordan was good in this. Dude, Kalani Jordan's been unreal for so long. Okay? People think she should have been called up a long time ago.
The crowd, Zari's distracted. Lola hits her with a back fist outside, hits another one in the ring for the pin. So basically the women's champion pinned the women's North American champion.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what that accomplished in the end, but
I'm not sure either. It wasn't the finish I expected.
No.
In theory, you would want the champion to get pinned by the challenger, except they were both tag teams, so you couldn't do that finish.
Well, I think ultimately the idea is the 3 people who did not get pinned are all in a 3-way program for the belt, and the person who did get pinned got pinned because the person they pinned distracted them to set up another match.
Yeah,
it's a very WWE style of booking.
Yeah.
But
so just actually giving a reason for everything. So she lost, but for her to turn her attention away from the 3 other girls, you know what I mean? Then she's going to go fight. She got distracted. So now she's like, I want to go put hands on this person. And then, so you mean very WWE style, you mean giving a reason for things to happen and not just things happening?
On the surface when it happened, I was
using the match to do that. And that's what storytelling is too. Not just, oh, bruv, so I reversed the super kick, bruv, and then I reversed it again, and then I reversed it again. Then I collapsed before you could hit me with it. Then I super kicked you. Then I fired up, and then you super kicked me, and then I kick out at 2 anyways. And then we just both do finishers back and forth until, you know what I mean? What's fucking, so you mean storytelling, very WWE style?
What was that all about? What was the point of that?
Well, it's just a way to get out of the match.
Well, yeah, but
they're just what was the point of that? I don't even understand. What are we watching? I've never even seen this before. It's my first time ever watching. What is this called? Professional wrestling? I've never heard of it. And Dave's like, it's just a way to get out of a match. Or is it a way to literally, as you just explained, Dave, get into matches, get into other matches? get into the three-way and then get into the fucking Bryan stalking, whatever. It's so stupid, so dumb. You have to explain wrestling to these old fucks.
Anyway, that's what happened. And this was
Not even just wrestling, just like basic. Like, have you ever, I don't know, watched The Simpsons? Even, you know, episodes of Family Guy even if it's like something ridiculous. Peter Griffin's head falls off randomly because of a cutaway bit or something. And then that leads to him going to the doctor, which leads to something. And that's what AEW is, the fucking Family Guy of wrestling. And it's just the most surface level shit. But it's not even like a funny gag. It feels like a bad joke on everyone watching it a lot of the time. And then they're just confused and can't make out why these things would happen in a fucking match.
much better NXT show than usual.
Craziness. So
And then-
we move along here, and these fellas talk a little bit more about WWE and some other things. But Dave actually gave his take on the Raw crowd for this last Raw in the UK at the O2. And they weren't the hottest crowd, like, for sure. They were a pretty good crowd. And I thought Raw was a pretty good show. And SmackDown, we haven't seen the one that takes place. It was taped already, Time Cop. But, you know, they taped one in the UK and people were shitting all over the crowd and saying it was a small crowd and the show was weak and everything. But there was an England game going on. A lot of people are using that excuse, whatever. Not to dive into all of that. But Dave, I don't even know what he's trying to say here. He's basically, he wasn't there, so he doesn't know. It's just what he saw on TV. But someone there told him that he knows, allegedly, that this crowd was mostly WWE fans. I'm not joking. That's what he's about to say. It's almost like he's blaming the fact that they weren't white, nuclear hot is because they're not AEW fans.
The
or
only
something?
reason I know about this is because of I know about it.
And like, he wasn't there. Here's Dave's take on this crowd. He wants to bury it, but he just knows he's making shit up, so he can't just like clearly say what it is he's trying to say.
For an international show, not a great crowd. I was
In
not
what
impressed
sense?
with this crowd.
They weren't.
I
that
thought
hot
they
during
were
the-
very quiet for a lot of the matches. I thought they were quiet for the angles. I thought they were. I mean, Obafemi was very, very over in the opening.
Obafemi was very over. Jey Uso was
Jey
very
Uso's
over.
yeeting was over. But like other than that, I was watching matches and just like,
Oh no, shit!
Ruined.
These guys are just brain dead. They're fucking brain dead zombies. Just like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and I just wasn't impressed with this crowd. Yeah, you don't look impressed by anything, Brian.
here,
Well,
not that into it.
Here's 4 things that were over as fuck. But other than that, I mean, it's a 5-segment and match show, you know, and then whatever backstage stuff is going on throughout the evening. And here's 4 things that were over great, but gee, I was just unimpressed. It's so funny.
I actually got.
And they just don't care. They don't care about this. That's the problem. They don't care about wrestling. And I'm not saying like you have to care about wrestling, but it's like I'm going to point out that you don't really give a fuck
a really, really long
about what you're even talking about. Why talk about it if you don't give a fuck about it? You know?
explanation from someone who was there, and basically the makeup of the crowd they said was very different from previous times.
It was very different. Like what? There was, so Dave's trying to say that quieter WWE fans showed up to a WWE show. Whereas typically all the AEW fans go to AEW shows or WWE shows too. Like, what point are you trying to make? I've said this a million times too. Most AEW fans are WWE fans. Most WWE fans are not AEW fans.
in the sense that this was a lot of.
Listen to this.
It's very clear that these are WWE exclusive fans. Okay, one of the things that,
WWE exclusive. Yeah, so Dave, if the World Cup is on and England's playing and like the pubs there's watch parties everywhere. Your mates are having fun, fish and chips and some tea, a cup of tea. And they're all chilling, and you guys are watching the game and shit, having some pints. And then you choose to go to Raw while that game's on instead of that in Europe. That's like you telling me once every 4 years you get the Super Bowl tournament or like a World Cup of football tournament in America. You choose to like go watch Raw that night instead of go to the Super Bowl or whatever. That's how that is. That would be the equivalent. So I don't even care about using that as a fucking excuse personally. Like, and I don't even know if that applies to the Raw show. Like, was England playing when Raw was on, or was that just a SmackDown thing? Either way, yes, you would have to be a hardcore WWE fan and pro wrestling fan in general just to choose a pro wrestling show over these types of footy matches, right? You'd have to really be a sicko or a wacko. Nobody's denying that. But like to sit there and go, oh yeah, at WWE Raw, it was mostly WWE fans. What the fuck are you trying to say? So the AEW fans come and they make it loud? And they're the crazy rabid ones that make it loud? Then why did no one give a fuck? Why was it dead silent? Why is it dead silent every Dynamite, it feels like? And why can Edge and Christian go out there and cut a promo and you can hear fucking the birds farting outside at some of these shows? Like, why is there 1,200 people in Cincinnati to see Jon Moxley? Like, shut the fuck up. It's just so, I think that's what he's trying to say. Now, I'm just like steel manning, or I don't know what the term is, straw manning. I'm the idea behind Dave's idea is I'm pulling one of those, but it's because like I don't even know what the fuck point he's even trying to make here. Okay. And he doesn't really make one in the, like he wants to say what I just said, but he just doesn't want to say it. Or he doesn't have the balls to say it.
It's like no T-shirts of anything but WWE, and
no T-shirts but anything but WWE at a fucking WWE show. Oh my God, Dave! Wow! Oh my God, it's amazing.
Retard alert! Retard alert, class!
Went to the shows before. You would see T-shirts from AEW and independent wrestlers.
When you went to the shows before, so like, hey, they were just in Europe not that long ago. So what's the difference? Or is it that they go to Europe a bunch now, Dave? Like way more, and they've televised it and shit. It's like become a yearly thing, and they're like multi times a year, and they're televising Raws, whereas before they would do like a Europe tour, not even on TV. Dave, what is it? And now streaming has made it so there might be a day where they fucking go to Japan and do a Raw and just air it on Netflix when it fucking, like, we could see, especially when they roll, I'm pretty sure in like August or something, people are saying that WWE's going to be on Netflix in Japan and shit. If I'm not mistaken, someone can correct me on that, but it's like they do TVs there. So it's not going to be naturally, it will not be as rabid as it was. For example, see All In Wembley. They go there once a year. People see the once a year show and go, it ain't worth it. More and more people every year. And so Dave is like, oh, the past shows, you'd see other shirts of AEW and stuff. Okay. And before AEW existed, you'd see WCW shirts and shit. You'd see fucking before the NWO was ever in WWE, you'd see the fucking NWO shirts in the crowd. You'd see fucking, even today, like I'll wear a Hulk Hogan shirt to a wrestling show. He's not, motherfucker's gone, dead and gone, So like, what does that even mean? It's just mental. He's trying to say that the AEW fans and like the CMLL fans will show up, and they're what make the European crowd special. Even though All In has fallen off year over year that they've been there. They took 1 year off to go to Texas. It's fallen off tremendously. So and I don't even mean to fucking shit on AEW, but Dave is such a dumbass. He's like opening AEW up to get crucified for him saying some dumb shit like this. or implying some dumb shit like this. And it's the same thing. It's like, oh, like WWE fans are low IQ, fucking trailer trash.
Poor people don't like AEW.
He said things like this. Poor people don't like AEW. Like, what does that mean? Now it's, WWE fans don't like WWE. It can't just be that they're there more frequently and there's like a World Cup going on. And let's face it, if you're a big WWE fan and you're a World Cup fan, you're probably rowdy as fuck. You're probably, yes, part of the rowdy fans and shit. But like, you can't be, I don't know, man. I don't know. How many people who like WWE, do you think most of the people who go to AEW shows, and this is the problem, they're trying to isolate people who just like AEW over people who just like WWE and shit. I hate that they do this because it's only affected AEW poorly. Because it's like, what do you think? That those people like all of wrestling and also WWE, or they're just diehard AEW fans? If you're just whittling it down to mostly diehard AEW fans, that's not a good thing. It's never been a good thing if you want to be the challenger brand and all of these things that everybody says that they are, especially Dave.
Were,
the sicko Highline, the sicko Vecna.
From watching WWE of late.
So they're fans who learned. Listen to this guy. Holy fuck, man. I can't even get through this triggering ass clip. Dave is sitting here going, they're wrestling fans who were born yesterday and they don't know fucking shit about shit. And you should be popping and going crazy for all this shit. Oh, so WWE is awesome and it's a really good show, Dave? Or, he does these weird things. Like if you were going to try and bury WWE, just be like, yeah, the show is shit, Bri. What do you think the fans are going to react like? But instead, Dave does this weird spin where he's like, well, the AEW fans weren't there. So, that's why the crowd was shitty. So you're saying this was a really great show?
Baby, learn. Meltzer Inferno.
But I thought WWE stinks. So, if he was smart about this, but instead he does this like, I'm going to make up some fucking shit, start Meltzer mathing. There's no real way to explain what I'm even doing because I can't even explain it really. And I'm just like inserting some weirdo shit. So they was just really hardcore WWE fans, but they learned from watching WWE lately. So like all the super hot crowds that they've had, like, what are you talking about? So these fucking PLEs with these hot ass crowds and, the crowd at WrestleMania was hot. I get the people at home were hot for a different reason because they had to watch a bunch of fucking ads, but the crowd there was good. The crowds for their big shows are pretty good. I mean, yeah, they had a couple stinkers. Like we were talking about how Rhode Island, Providence was the shits for SmackDown a couple weeks ago. Okay, that's every fucking Fed. Like AEW as well as had some of the hottest, like 3,000 people crowds that you'll hear. Good for them. I'm never going to shit on that. But Davey just does this weird, it was all WWE fans. That's why they were so hot. If I said that, he'd be like, oh, you don't know history. You need to study and learn. That's the stupidest thing. You're just grifting. That's what if Eric Bischoff said, yeah, it was mostly WWE fans at a show. That's why it was so hot. Or it was, yeah, the crowd wasn't that hot. They were mostly WWE fans. And so when Edge and Christian were out there, they just weren't that hot for it. It just wouldn't even make sense if anyone said this, but Dave says this. And this is the thing, he would melt down on someone for saying some stupid shit like this. But he's so far gone, so far shilling. It makes me wonder, like, is he invested? I deaded that whole thing. I'm like, I don't think he's
Dave
invested.
Is so bad. Dave is the devil. Oh.
There's no way he's invested. He can't be invested other than like spiritually, emotionally, physically, his heart, his soul, his love, right? But it just makes you wonder. At this point, when you're doing wacky, weirdo shit like this, you're like, okay, I don't even know. I don't even know what's happening anymore.
Things like that. They were fans who learned from watching WWE of late.
So just blanket statement, all the fans there in the UK were just fans who watched WWE lately, meaning what? Meaning what? They still showed up and paid a bunch for their tickets and everyone wants to cry about how expensive it is. They're pretty diehard wrestling fans. Maybe the show wasn't that great. Maybe the fucking Maybe it has something to do with soccer. I don't know. Maybe it's because they're seeing more WWE. But what are you implying? That like all the WWE crowds are shit, or that they were watching this shitty show, but then they showed up anyways? 7,000 plus people showed up to SmackDown anyways, which is a solid. If they did that number, not in the O2, but somewhere in America, everyone would be like, that's a fucking great number still for Smack. And it is. It is. Anything 4,000 and above, I think, for a TV is like unreal in this day and age. And maybe my bar for that is lowered because of AEW's standard, right? But think about that. There's good buildings that hold like 4,000 people. You know, you have 1,200. It's like, that's stinky. What are we doing? You have like 4K and up, 5K and up, 6K and up, 7K and up. That's crazy. Even for a pay-per-view, if you draw like 6 to 8K or 10K, that's amazing. Now, house shows do that for WWE. So are you talking about that crowd, Dave? These are you mean that show that happened not that long ago, right? Like, is that what we're talking about? What are you talking about? Why are you just shitting on WWE fans? It's so gross, dude.
That, you notice like no
there was no mystical match.
None of the normal chants.
None of the normal chants. So to Dave, you sick fuck. You sick fuck. That's a normal chant to Dave. Oh, the normal chants? None of the normal chants. Like what? What were they chanting? Gray cock or whatever? What were they chanting? They were calling someone like a cock or he's a dickhead or something like that.
Punk chant, but none of the normal chants that you usually get, in matches and things like that.
Fight forever. That's what Dave has done.
It was basically a newer crowd.
A newer crowd. So everybody who showed up is a newer WWE fan. What? How? How would that? How could you even say that? How could you even label their audience like that? How would you know? It was a newer crowd. Dave, did you ID check everybody at the front door? Were you undercover, working the door, patting everyone down? And fucking checking IDs and running it through your database that you then sent to a fan on a Fightful Discord and fucking copy and pasted their AI work that they did on it? Like, what are you talking about, Dave?
A lot of kids.
A lot of kids. Yeah, it's WWE.
Far more minorities than before.
Dave, whoa. Why you gotta get all racial with it, bro? What's going on? Dave,
he had Cuervo with him the whole time too.
Whoa, what are you getting at?
And but basically this crowd, yeah, in the sense of the crowd was there for the entrances and the interviews, and again,
it was a bunch of minorities, and they're all fucking stupid, Brian. They're just there for fucking for the entrances, and they don't give a shit about WWE, and they're new fans, but they're exclusively WWE fans. But they're all new, and they're all minorities. What the fuck are you even trying to say? Idiot. What is he even trying to say, Chad?
Poor people don't like AEW.
I don't even get what he's trying to say, dude. This is crazy. Dave, you're unhinged, buddy. Pack it up. Pack it up, pack it in. It's over. Your time is up. My time is now, Dave. Your time is up, buddy. I have no idea what you're
That's
even
usually
getting.
the WWE crowd anyway. But
so that's usually their crowd anyway. So he's trying to explain how it's not like a normal crowd. But then he explains how it's like their normal crowd.
It's more so than even usual.
It was more minorities than usual.
He had Cuervo with him the whole time too.
What the fuck are you trying to say? Holy shit, he's nuts.
For, the
he's
young
actually nuts. He's unhinged.
Superstar, babyface, that former heel thing. So
that's like one of the most unhinged things he's ever said, bar none. Holy shit. CWJ1288 for 5. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Hello, I have made this point since AEW was formed. WWE has grown an entire new fan base. Most of AEW are day one who were Nuge PWG back in the day. Yeah, I agree. And you're going to get people's kids and like, yeah, their attendances on average are probably up a bit, but they were also running like 900 seater residencies last year and stuff. So they're going to have, no matter what, there will be naturally new fans, but like, does it mean more new fans? So when Dave's like, they're exclusively new. Okay, so the cope is always, they have a 50-year head start. Like literally Dave just turned into a racist instead of instead of just being like, yeah, I don't know, man. It was they just weren't a hot crowd. The show wasn't that good. It's fucking crazy. It's nutty. It's insane. It's loopy. And then he literally for a minute and a half is talking about how the fans were different, but then he just slips in. That's usually their crowd anyways. But like this time it was, what? So what are you saying, dude? It doesn't even make sense. He's just looping, spiraling, desperate, unhinged, like just bullshitting, talking straight out of his ass, trying to make shit up. And that's where you come up with stuff like that. I can't get over that. I was like cringing, embarrassed for him. I feel embarrassed for him watching that clip. Okay, so most of AEW are day one who were Nuge and PWG back in the day. Yeah, I mean, I've been saying they've been whittling the fan base down too. So whether that means what you're saying or there's like some new fans in the make, I don't know. But I think they're whittling it down. Like all the pay-per-views now do similar sales, tickets-wise. You're going to get about 10,000, which I would say is a bit of an increase. Because there was a little while there where they were getting like 6, 7. No, they were doing like 8,000. Like that Double or Nothing did 8,000 last year, I believe. And then this year it did 14,000. And you're starting to see more of these pay-per-views do 10,000. And whether Tone's fluffing them up, peppering them up or whatever, that's whatever. So that it looks good for the pay-per-views for sure, I would say. But then the week-to-week fan base, like it pretty much just means you're going to have 10K people pull up for a pay-per-view. I guess Forbidden Door, though, did what? Like 7,000 tickets or something? I don't know. I'm not even trying to pocket watch like that. But when Dave says shit like that, and then you want to say Eric Bischoff's a fraudcaster for bringing up attendance, or Phil S. Marks is a grifting podcaster for fucking being like, okay, but look at like the TV rating, Dave. Just look at it objectively. Like, fuck Fox News and all this shit you're talking about. Just look at it. Like, I don't know how he even looks himself in the mirror with shit like that. It's crazy. So we move along here. That's so fucking unhinged. I think he's got a little bit more to talk about when it comes to WWE here. Where were we? Yes. So Dave talked about, well, here's the extended clip. Meltzer said, what the GOAT? Fucking drop this, the extended version.
And based to things in matches that are normal.
Well, whatever. No, I just went off. That was like a 15-minute rant for me on that one clip. Shout out Meltzer said what. But speaking of Kendal Grey, she actually rejected Dave. And now he's got emotional damage because Kendal Grey rejected his 5-star rating system.
Emotional damage.
It's not that serious, but she does deny him. Okay, she really does. So she was on TMZ's Inside the Ring and shout them out. But she talks about Meltzer saying she may become the greatest American women's wrestler of all time. And her response to that, to if she heard about that, which obviously social media, she said it didn't really scare me. So immediately Dave felt it. Like no one gives a shit. When you give Nathan Frazier 5 stars, he's like, okay, rare Meltzer W, but he's being sarcastic when he says that. Obviously, because he's saying it's a rare W. He's taking the piss. So Kendall's like, no, it doesn't really scare me. Because what you say, Dave, just doesn't really matter. I try not to read too much into online and what people are saying. See, Dave, to the new gen, that you're fawning and rushing over, they think you are just like an online spur goose fucking is like online saying dumb shit online. Like me, okay? You're at my level, bro. Okay? I hope it was worth it. I hope the fucking 50 years.
For, the young superstar, babyface, the former heel thing. So
this is so good. This is the best episode. So she goes, no matter what I do, people are going to say negative things, positive things. So I just try to be me and be authentic to myself and not read too much into it. I don't want to get in my head about stuff. In your head. Dave's a zombie. But at the end of the day, I do want to be the best. Like no one ever was. To catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause. That's what I train for. I come in here every single day, get better every single day, take all that information I can and grow my mind about the business. So Dave is only going to listen to that one part and go, well, she said she's going to take me all in. She said she's going to take me all in and move me around in her brain, Bryan. She said she's gonna let me grow in her mind, Bryan.
Dave is so bad. Dave is the devil. Oh,
I'm fucking on one today. Dave, it will extrapolate that though. She's gonna listen to what I say. I mean, she reads, Bryan. She reads and studies, and she said it would let it grow in her. So, what do you expect? She's definitely listening. When really she's saying like, I'm going to just take what everybody says online, good or bad. And I'm going to like know that it's out there. I'm going to see what's out there, but I'm going to fucking, roll with the punches, take it day by day. Ultimately, if that happens, hopefully it happens down the road authentically. So she just flat out, this is actually better. She did reject him fully. It's so funny because she's straight saying authentically. So because Dave's inauthentic,
This just in,
bro.
We have confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.
So she completely just destroys Dave Meltzer. And is like, I want it to be organic and authentically. I want to become the greatest of all time authentically, not artificially. The way fucking this jabroni, but she doesn't bury him. Why? And I don't blame her because, and the wrestlers who do, that's fine. But like, if he keeps writing about her this way, like that is a good thing for her career. And she is an entertainer. Like, no actor is going to get mad at a critic who fucking when they write a good review about their movie. You only get mad at the bad reviews. And if there's more people, the way this works is it doesn't really matter if people are glazing you. It more matters like how much are they writing about you, and then in today's day and age in wrestling, you want to try and limit the amount of like fake gossip bullshit that gets spread about you. So beyond that, it's just like if people are going to put you over, let them put you over. I don't blame any wrestler really. Now, I don't like when they stooge. But Kendall's like, I want it to happen authentically, not fucking inorganically, like sicko Vecna here trying to possess people with his mind virus. But I try not to read too much into it, do what I can, work hard, and if it happens, it happens. So she's like, whatever. If it does happen, it does happen. Dave's just fucking, no. Kendall, my beloved. You've forsaken me, beloved. Bryan. StreamYard mixed all my sounds up again. I'm not joking. And so I'm looking for my Bryan, and I just can't find the motherfucker today. Just like Dave can't find a clue. Here she is. Here we go. So that's amazing. And that's just so great that Kendal Grey rejected him into obliviacry. So Dave Meltzer had this to say. And I saw this just before we jumped on the air here. Dave Meltzer. Meltzer said what? First off, cuts a promo and goes off. So I would love if my goat sound was where I had it. This is so annoying. I'm gonna sue StreamYard. No, whatever. The goat. Okay, you know what they say. The goat. Meltzer said what? He posted this. He said, "Dynamite Dave, your crusty, unmoisturized face had a discussion last night on Wrestling Observer Radio about the Meltzer driver, TK driver, changing names in kayfabe week to week. This West Coast indie clown show mindset is why nobody takes AEW seriously and why AEW has zero growth." Now, this does have to do with WWE. Okay. So Fightful Wrestling posts this quote from Triple H, who gave an interview, and Triple H encourages fans to have fun with WWE and not take it too seriously. And Triple H is like, the other aspect of that is I think that people lose perspective sometimes. Triple H was like, yeah, have fun with it. Which, if there's anybody in the business, you can sit there and be like, he's a fake, he's a phony, blah, blah, blah. If there's anybody in this business who had fun with pro wrestling, it was the Clique in general, but Triple H and Shawn Michaels, dude. They were running around, suck it, and all this shit. He had a blast, and he took the piss, but he was serious when he needed to be. Triple H got a bunch of guys over. He got super over. He was never the guy. He was never Rock or Austin, but he was right underneath. If Rock or Austin wasn't there, Triple H was that dude, along with other guys. Undertaker, he wasn't quite Undertaker, but he's like right there. You know, that you don't consider him, people won't consider him the greatest of all time, but he was right there. And whenever you needed somebody, he was right fucking there. And there's something to be said about that. As a performer, as a pro wrestler, we're talking in-ring and story-wise and what he was able to deliver. It's not like he didn't fucking deliver. It's not like he didn't try to wrestle Scott Steiner and shit. You know, it's not like fucking Goldberg is one of the whiniest fucks ever. You think Triple H wasn't trying? Like, yeah, I'm going to beat you, Goldberg, but it's because this is different. This is WWE. You know, you've already taken L's. I'm going to beat you. You'll get one on me. Like, I'll drop the belt to you, but I'm going to get it back. Calm down. And Goldberg's like, no, it's a shoot. And people hate on Triple H for that. I don't get it. I've never really understood it. Found the goat. So anyways, Triple H is like, yo, let's have fun with this a little bit. Now, WWE delivers the most serious, the most super serial storylines. They do. And they also give you wacky shit like Danhausen creating Frankenhausens and shit. But in AEW, you get even phonier, cheesier shit than that. You have the Rizzler rizzing up bitches who end up catfighting over him. You have Moxley getting impaled in the back for a shoot with 2x4s with nails in them or whatever the fuck. You have all the way to Orange Cassidy fake kicking people with his hands in his pockets and Matt Hardy teleporting and all of the goofy shit too over the years. So it's not like it's any different. Moxley got exploding barbed wire super booted with thumbtacks on it to the face and his head exploded. And then he showed up on Wednesday. That was on a pay-per-view. Then he showed up Wednesday, not even a bandage on his head. And I'm not joking. This is all documented on television and on the internet forever. Okay. So like, yes, wrestling, there has to be an element of fun. There has to be a too cool. Rikishi and Scotty Too Hottie and Grandmaster Sexay fucking dancing and shit. And maybe you can do one-off events like Bloodsport and shit, but if you want to be like the most over, even WCW had Disco Inferno. Having fun. He was out there having fun, dancing. People were kicking his ass. La Parka was glomming him with chairs. And Dave Meltzer was writing about how Disco Inferno was the highest rated quarter hours and shit. Right? So Triple H is like, we should have a little more fun with this. Like, some people are getting too serious with some of these angles that aren't even that bad. And that's what I've said as well. On PWT Live Show every Wednesday and Saturday live on YouTube and Kick. I've said the same goddamn thing. Yo, if SmackDown's that bad, then how truly bad is like Collision and Dynamite? You know? So, how truly bad is TNA then? If we're talking SmackDown is like the worst show ever and it's falling off and dying, then these other feds must just be the absolute drizzling dingleberries of shits. I was just trying to think of poop words. Caca, poopy, doo-doo, doody. But Dave Meltzer gets triggered by this, man. And the guy who stands the most unserious wrestling company, the guy who said that Joey Janela and Brody Lee Jr. was better than anything on NXT.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
The guy who said that shit had this to say to Triple H in response. The biggest shill, Dave's spiraling. He's unhinged. And Dave goes, man, you should never talk like that. Holy fuck. So when Tony Khan's like, wrestling's for everyone. We're having fun. There's big matches. We're going to have fun. It's all about fun. It's all about the boys getting paid more. And it wasn't even Tone saying that directly, but a lot of the boys. I've never had more fun in my career wrestling in AEW. Yeah, this da-da-da. How many guys have said shit like that? And it's no problem.
Best guys, Tony Khan.
You think Orange Cassidy is out there being serious, Dave? What about when Danhausen was there? What about half the shit Darby does? Is that serious? And Darby isn't about just having fun? I'm going to jump off this ladder because it's fun. The whole point of AEW is the boys get paid more and they get to do what they want to do. So he goes, man, you should never talk like that. It comes across desperate. Oh my God. The irony. The irony. Oh, meanwhile, Dave sounds more desperate than anyone ever. More desperate than Desperado. Dave says, you're saying quit having an opinion on our product. No, he's not saying quit having an opinion. If he was saying quit having an opinion, Dave, it would say, quit having an opinion. It doesn't matter. No, he's saying don't take it all too seriously. Look at AAA. Look how silly El Grande Americano was. And look how serious it was because we were able to have fun with it at the start. It's almost like Triple H was in the wrestling business. And look how serious people took him. After he stopped trying to be, I'm Jean-Paul Levesque, I'm a serious rich guy, blue blood. And then he starts fucking around and doing crotch chops and getting it over. And it's not the equivalent of Daniel Garcia wiggling his dick. It is in the moment when it got over for a second at the beginning, but then you got to parlay that and do some good shit with it. But Triple H went and did fucking DX and they started having fun. Not having fun in like a cringe way, even though it is kind of, some of it was cringeworthy, but it was just like an era of with the NWO Stone Cold DX, it was just middle finger to the authority. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell. That's just what the vibes were. It was Limp Bizkit and shit. You know what I mean? Like, it was just Limp Bizkit, fuck the man shit. That was the whole energy of the fucking 90s and early 2000s. So, like, it was that. It's not like, let's just do cringy shit just for the sake of like this, like, you know, Garcia wiggling his dick. Like, it's just not over. It's not over like the crotch chop. You don't have kids doing that in school. And if they do, they get sent to the fucking principal's office as they should. But it's not happening. You don't hear those stories like you hear, yo, I got sent to the principal's office for crotch chopping and shit. Like every kid tells who was born in the fucking 90s. Or loved the Attitude Era and shit, was a kid in the 90s. So, again, Triple H then after that became the cerebral assassin. Triple H was taken seriously after he started goofing around and shit a little bit. So think about that for a second, Dave. You want people to spend hundreds of dollars on tickets. So now Dave is going to explain to Triple H what Triple H and WWE want to have happen. That's already happening. Here, I actually wrote a tweet about this. I think I bookmarked it. So I wrote this here. Holy fuck, Dave is mentally ill and he's desperately trying so hard to convince himself of the bullshit he's espousing. AEW has midgets with their hands in their pockets doing fake kicks. WWE has Danhausen turning people into Frankensteins. If anyone takes any of that too seriously, they're a tard like Meltzer. I also love how Wavy Davey is explaining what Triple H wants to have happen, like it isn't what's literally happening and has been happening already. You want to sell tickets for hundreds of dollars. Yeah, that's what they've been doing. Oh, you mean like what they've been doing and what you've been crying about for the last year. And I wrote, this shark brain monster and his cave-dwelling mutant sycophants voted highlighting WWE Gates as one of the most disgusting promotional tactics. But now that should be their main focus. Old shill fraudcasting grifter. And it just showcases hypocrisy. Wow, I really went off on Dave earlier. And so Dave says, but also they say don't take it seriously. If they didn't take it seriously, they sure aren't spending that kind of money on tickets. Dave, they don't really take it seriously. You just said that the fans were a bunch of brand new minority. What else did he say? He just labeled them with all this shit. They're mostly minority, there for the entrances, there just to clap like seals. Brand new fans, brand new. I don't like it unless it's brand new. You might see me in my brand new whip with my brand new bitch.
Brian.
But for real, Dave, like, what are you talking about?
Poor people don't like AEW.
What the fuck are you talking about? He was just labeling them all this stuff for whatever reason. And then now he's like, well, if they didn't take your product seriously this whole time, I thought they were all new fans, Dave. So they're not taking it seriously and they're still spending money. So what are you talking about? WWE's been around for 50 years. I thought that was the cope. So there's ebbs and flows. There's been no growth. There's been no growth in AEW. As Meltzer said, what points out the goat? Points out. Sauce 777 for 5 says, love your content. Dude, thank you so much. I appreciate that. My sounds are out of whack, so I don't know. Thank you for the support. I really appreciate that. Let me get a swig of coffee here, some iced coffee. Okay. Yummy. So with that being said, Dave gets destroyed, right? And now we transition into him talking about AEW. And this is a smooth transition because Meltzer said what? Put this tweet and this clip side by side. And his point is, Dynamite Dave, you're crusty. And I read that. Okay, so he had a discussion last night on Wrestling Observer Radio about the Meltzer driver and TK driver changing names in kayfabe week to week. This West Coast indie clown show mindset is why nobody takes AEW seriously and why AEW is zero growth. So again, Dave is like, wow, I mean, you want them to take it seriously. Meanwhile, Triple H is saying this and he books the most serious angles. So again, actions speak louder than words. And also, it's not just a general fucking, he is speaking in general. Just in general, don't take it so seriously. But when we give you tense and serious moments, it'll mean much more. Wrestling is supposed to be like, it's entertainment, so we're all supposed to have fun. And Dave is like, well, no, take it seriously. Take me seriously. Meanwhile, here's the company he stands. Hands in the pockets, fishbowl drownings, needles, then squirting the juice out of the needle through the cheek. So it's like, what's the point of the needle then? So you shoved a needle through his cheek that had liquid in it in order to squeeze the liquid out, but it just goes through his cheek. It's not like you were on some Vince Russo shit injecting him with some, some plant juice from the Amazon or whatever the fuck. Like you do dumb shit like that. And again, when WWE wasn't being fucking serious, the diva oil matches, the water fights and the oil jelly fucking mud pit bath matches and the fucking lingerie pillow fights and shit, that was super unserious. You have Ring of Honor. You own Ring of Honor. Tone does. The guy you sweep for, Dave. And he's got girls like shaking their tits on each other and stuff, which is fine. And again, it's so funny. The AEW fans are like, what are you, gay? You don't like titties shaking? No, I love it. But it's just like, that's Ring of Honor, though. Imagine if you took that back 10 years, Ring of Honor fans they'd fucking, you wouldn't make it out of the building alive. The Ring of Honor fans would go insane, dude. They would trash that shit and but people got mad because Jim Cornette was trying to do like WWE-ish. He was trying to like elevate Ring of Honor to be more like story-based, focused, and like pushing guys with resumes and fucking bodies and guys who are over and will get other people over and stuff. And people fucking hated on him for that, for being like, no, don't do all this crazy shit. And now Ring of Honor, you have women shaking their tits on each other. And that's Ring of Honor. The Iconics are in Ring of Honor. And Tone's like, here you go, Ring of Honor. It's amazing. It's like the antithesis of what Ring of Honor is. You're unserious. This is the most unserious shit of all time. One of the most unserious things ever are the Young Bucks and their gimmicks just in general. Them trying to act tough is unserious. Them doing this babyface bullshit is unserious. One of the gimmicks they do is every week they call the TK driver, Meltzer driver, Indie Taker, whatever the fuck you want to call it. They change the name of it every week. That's the most unserious goofball shit ever. And Dave is like, Triple H, you should have never said, don't be serious. Why so serious? And now Dave is about to sit there and giggle like a fucking 13-year-old little bitch texting with her friends. I don't mean that. I don't know what I'm saying. But he's giggling like a fucking schoolgirl over the Bucks. He's just tickled pink over this shit. You know what I'm saying? Over fucking the Bucks like doing this cringy ass unserious shit. He doesn't keep the same energy for anything. He's a hypocrite.
Zack Sabre Jr. That led immediately to the Young Bucks versus TMDK, which was a very
I'm snapping today, Chad.
quick match. Didn't even go through a break. TK driver finish, and then Sabre and TMDK attacked the Bucks.
It's not TK driver anymore.
What is it now? It's back to the Meltzer driver?
Well, they didn't call it anything.
It's just that move?
It was the Meltzer driver last week. This week, it doesn't have a name.
It needs a name.
Yeah, it can't be my name, but it's not the TK driver anymore. So they need to come up with a name.
It can be your name, Dave. It has been for years.
I don't think so. I don't think so. It's like
you don't get a choice, brother.
Well, it's not. It's nothing to do with me. It's got to do.
Oh my God!
With it's
if there are marks for it has nothing to do with me, but it's named after me.
If it wasn't for you sucking their balls and tonguing their holes in PWG and New Japan, so it has everything to do with you. The horrible people, it could be, but there's horrible people, so it can't be.
No, it can be. Just ignore the horrible people. It's possible.
I don't care, but it's other people who care.
Well, that's too bad for them. That's their problem.
Okay, but hold on. So what is Dave saying now? I need to bring this back. Hold on. I'm actually lost here. Let's go back.
That move?
It was the Meltzer driver last week. This week, it doesn't have a name.
It needs a name.
Yeah, it can't be my name, but it's not the TK driver anymore. So they need to come up with a name.
It can be your name, Dave. It has been for years.
I don't think so. I don't think so. It's like
you don't get it.
So listen to this. I don't think so. So you're bum hurt by to what Tony Khan says. Nobody cares, hey? So who are the bad people? Listen, he goes, the bad people, Bryan. The bad people. The bad people. They don't want me to have my name on AEW. And that's what's so funny. Tone will call Dave and go, Dave, I'll book shows better for you, I swear. Call him up on the air. We know he loves Meltzer. He'll tout the fucking Wrestling Observer Awards. But Tone also at the same time, and Dave's so bum blasted by this, you can just hear it in his voice and the way he's the bad people, Bryan. He's so poo-pushed by the fact that Tone's like, look, we're together, Dave. Our love is true, but we can't be seen in public together. And Dave's like, why not, Tone? It hurts my heart. You're my love, my beloved. Tonio, wherefore art thou, Tonio? Right? He's just real sad. And it's like, dude, they broke up and shit. They're hiding. Nobody wanna see us together, but it don't matter, Tone. Wrestling Observer, babe. Right? It's fucking cooked, man. It's cooked. Ugh.
Choice, brother.
Well, it's not. It's nothing to do with me. It's got to do with the. It's if it wasn't for
Tone has to hide their love.
For the horrible people.
If it wasn't for the horrible people. What? Who are the horrible people? Like, you have to be more specific than that. That's insane to just go, if it wasn't for the horrible people. Dave, no one cares that you call it the Meltzer driver. And forever, to infinity and beyond, everyone's going to still call it that. And they're going to talk shit about the Bucks calling it that, but nobody really even cares anymore because you're so far up their asses and vice versa. So Dave is now blaming the boogeyman, I guess. The horrible people. They're invisible. You can't see them. Lord Voldemort, Brian. He's going to go up their ass further by giving them an out by blaming it on the horrible people instead of calling out Tone for being like, well, he can't mention my name. He refuses to on the air because they know if they do that, the internet's going to have a field day with it. Now, how bad are the optics, Dave? Maybe you should back off. Maybe you should just chill for like a year and just stop glazing AEW so hard. Just save your opinions on it even. Stop trying to shill it. And I bet the perception of AEW will go way up. And it's so funny how hard he shills for this shit. Meanwhile, Tone just slaps him around and is like, yeah, no, I'm not going to say your name. I'm not going to say your name, Dave. And we don't want you to appear. Because if we say it on the show, we're going to get cucked for a week straight. We're going to get felted online. We're not doing it.
Oh, it could be, but there's horrible people, so it can't be.
No, it can be. You just ignore the horrible people.
I don't
It's
care.
possible.
I don't care, but it's other people who care.
Well, that's too bad for them. That's their problem.
I could care less. Okay,
I mean,
they can call it the Meltzer driver, and I'm absolutely fine with it. I'm not going to ever complain about it. I thought that was the original name, and what was hilarious was when they switched it. You didn't even know this when they switched it, and I didn't know it either. It was because now they hated me.
Wow,
did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, because it had nothing to do with it, but people.
He's so sad. Just listen to this.
Know this when they switched it, and I didn't know it either. It was because now they hated me.
Wow,
did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, because it had nothing to do with it, but people. That was the conclusion people came to.
So Dave is now coping about. Oh, and did you hear? It was because the Bucks hated me, and that's why they changed it the first time. Who said that, Dave? Dave, log off of Twitter. You're in like the weirdest sickosphere bubble. Like, stop blocking everybody who likes WWE and thinks you're an idiot. Like, Jesus Christ, man, you're in too much of a bubble, bro. You're in way too much of a bubble. Because like I am your biggest detractor. I'm your biggest A-log. I'm your biggest hater. And I've never heard anybody be like, yeah, it's because the Bucks don't like Dave anymore.
You are coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping and seething. The truth it is scalding, and now you are molding and coping so hard, coping and seething.
So yeah, Dave is just mentally ill, and again, like, I'm pretty sure when they heel turned and they attacked Tone and then gave him the Meltzer driver, and then like his dad came out and shit and they called it the TK driver, and then if they don't call it that anymore, it's because they went back babyface, and even the Bucks are realizing we can't call this shit the Meltzer driver. Even the Bucks are starting to realize, oh fuck, man. Imagine if it wasn't called that. And also, they don't want to bring your name up on the fucking show because they will get dragged in the mud, and Tone knows that. He just, he doesn't want to admit that to you and hurt your fifis.
So then when they gave it back last week, I was wondering, are people going to think that they like me again? I mean, it's just like,
no, they love me. They really love me.
That's the caliber of stuff that happens in the insane world of professional wrestling.
Well, they all attack the Bucks afterwards. Kenny and Jeff.
Love looks not with eyes, Brian, but with the mind. When you study and learn, love looks not with the eyes, Brian. Oh, my fucking God. Oh, man. Hope you guys are digging the Shakespeare references. I don't know. So we move along, and Dave Meltzer, speaking of the Bucks. Well, this was him explaining. We should have watched the video. Meltzer said what is always like ahead of the curve and like fucking dropping the audio clips because he's listening before the before these video clips come up. So
I could care less.
Okay,
I mean, they can call it the Meltzer.
I did not know that.
Yeah, because it had nothing to do with it. But people, that was the conclusion people came to. So,
and he speaks in generalities and not in a good way. Like, he's just like, oh, everyone's minorities and they're stupid or whatever he was trying to say before. They're all new fans and they're stupid. That's literally what he was saying before. They're all new minorities and but they love WWE exclusively. Really, Dave? Every single last one of them? So that's what he was saying about the fans at Raw. And then Dave goes, that's what the conclusion everybody came to on Twitter. Well, not everybody. I didn't even hear anybody say that, and I'm your biggest detractor.
Then when they gave it back, caliber of stuff that happens in the insane world of professional wrestling.
And if people said that and I mentioned it, we didn't dwell on it, and I forgot, because it was nothing serious. So Dave Meltzer, he also copes over the Go Home show, 2 Forbidden Door, which happens this weekend, Time Cop. And pretty much what Tone did is they were in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, and he just threw like 100 matches on the card. And Dave was like, the idea is the World Cup's on, Bryan. Thus, they want to put on a banger of a show, which just doing pure wrestling isn't a banger of a show. Tone always does this for the go-homes. Notoriously, his go-homes and post-pay-per-view shows are the absolute worst. He's the worst at booking go-home shows and post-pay-per-view shows. And his pay-per-views are just all matches. Amazing physical wrestling. So that's what you tuned in to see that for. So the show itself, like, why not use that to tell more story and stuff like that? And especially if the World Cup's on, really get over your narrative. And then for social media purposes, so people can share around the clips of the show being like getting over the storyline of what's going on and showing us who these characters are and developing people in that way more. And then, like I was watching World Cup. So I go on social media. What happened on Dynamite? Oh, a lot of vignettes and promos. I just watch it all on Twitter. I watch it all on YouTube. Like, people got to understand this. Mostly wrestling is consumed through like the clips and shit on YouTube and shit. So especially WWE, like if you factor that into how many people are watching Raw, what do you think? People are watching Raw on Netflix and then they go in the millions of views on YouTube after are all people who were watching it live. Like, I'm sure there's some, but it's also a bunch of people who like wrestling and are subscribed to WWE and shit, but they just don't really, they follow them on TikTok and shit, but they watch the PLE, but they don't fucking go to every show or watch every SmackDown or NXT. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to factor that into it too in 2026. So instead of like booking a show where it's like more narratives and like pushing things along, and then the people can talk about those clips and go, damn, this really, whatever, this connects to the, however you do it, right? You're telling a story. And then the pay-per-views banger matches. Nope. Tone's just like everybody in the ring now. And so Dave's cope is the go-home show is great for the wrestling. Well, holy fuck, man. Like everything's great for the wrestling. Like everybody can wrestle. You need to do more than that. And everyone can wrestle in TNA. Everybody's a good wrestler in AEW. Everybody's a good wrestler in W for the most part. Now I'm speaking in generalities, right? But in a good way, in a way where it's like, I'm putting people over. Like for the majority of people in AEW, they can fucking go if they had, especially if they had direction. Some of these people would go really far. And if some of them had a filter and shit like that, and especially these New Japan guys who come over, like, they can go. Everybody can wrestle in New, everybody can wrestle in WWE. So, like, what more do you bring to the table? Tone never can get past that hump. And Dave is just like, it's good because wrestling. Hashtag wrestling.
This was the show with 8.
Which, I mean, it is wrestling. So, trust me. But when you have all this TV time, it's pretty much free commercial time for your goddamn PLE. You're trying to work up as much heat as possible so that you sell as much as you can at the pay-per-view. Okay? You got to fucking win some battles to win the war.
Matches.
He got them all in. I thought it was a pretty much of a great show.
And you can lose some battles and win a war too. And you might got to take an L and just do some storytelling and not go hard-hitting fucking in-ring action to pop Dave 1 week, Tone, and see if the fans don't mind it.
Because when I watched the show, I was thinking like, this really should have been like a Clash of the Champions type of a show, like that what I thought.
Like WCW, Brian. What the fuck are you talking about?
That would end up being, because this was absolutely not your traditional go home for a pay-per-view show. I mean, it is
traditional in AEW. This is what Tone keeps doing. And he might have got away from that once, but the exception doesn't make the rule. I think he got away from that at Double or Nothing. It wasn't just overstuffed with wrestling. It was mostly character shit. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because didn't they do that press conference that went into the overrun? Or it was like no, that was for Hangman. That was way before that. So they were doing a lot of story stuff there with MJF. As long as MJF's doing some story stuff, that's always a positive for me. But this 5-man, 10-man scramble shit is fucking, or 12-man, however many men is garbage in my opinion. Death Riders are garbage in my opinion. Ricochet, Takeshita, that's good shit. Swerve versus Garcia, like that's poo-poo. LP, okay, now last second you're trying to stuff like New Japan crossover stuff for Forbidden Door. It's just not booked well. It's a bunch of matches thrown together. You have to be able to admit that.
Not many angles. There was a couple of run-ins, to build pay-per-view matches, but they were the last run-in at the end was pretty focused. But it was mostly just match.
The last run-in at the end was focused, but the rest were just ADD.
Match. The matches had good time. I think Ospreay and Phantasmo probably could have gone several more minutes. But aside from that, I mean, the Young Bucks match could have, but it didn't need to, because it wasn't important to have another great match in that spot. I mean, the keys were, they gave enough time to the opener, which was a hell of a match. They gave enough time for Ospreay and Phantasmo to have a really good match. They gave Swerve and Garcia decent time, and they gave Ricochet and Takeshita time to have a freaking classic match. So Superman
classic. They had a classic on Dynamite.
That I just thought, and they did everything they could to protect Ricochet while putting Takeshita over in the end. So, wrestling wise, it was an excellent show.
All right, that's what we've been saying for 7 years. Okay,
this was the show with.
I guess that's your challenger brand, there, sire. Ken Dudley for 5 says, listen to Brian say wow in response to Dave the same way I say wow when my 80-year-old aunt tells me about her new meds. That's exactly it. Ken, I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the show, but that's what I was saying.
The guy that has papers everywhere in his room.
That's Brian's actual kid saying that, and she said that on the air. But yeah, dude, earlier I was saying that, like, They just don't care. Bry's like, nothing's interesting. I'm not that interested. Everything's uninteresting. And it's like, you guys are just bored, tired. You don't even care what you're talking about. Like, why do you do this? Why do you put everyone else through this? But yeah, thank you for your support. Thank you for the super chat. So, let's move along. Clash of the Champions. He was just saying, like, come on, Dave. What are we fucking? So we talking like WCW or what are we talking about here? So again, Dave, he copes a little bit over AEW with the comparisons to other feds. So Meltzer said, what? The GOAT says, remember a whole week and a half ago when Dynamite Dave was doing cartwheels because AEW was on Fox-owned Tubi? So again, Niccolo Piccolo post, Dave moved, we went over this already, but he moves the goalpost from AEW's getting a huge TV deal to technically Tubi is affiliated with Fox. Remember that, guys? He wrote this whole thing, and then he goes on this pitch a little bit here, right? Like, and I roasted this. Whatever decision Paramount Skydance will make next year regarding AEW as a pure business decision based on the current contract. And if you guys want to hear me roast these run-on sentences and completely smash the Observer and this quote into oblivion, I think it was last week's DMDMW Time Cop. Make sure you guys check it out. But Dave is like pitching here. It is more cost-effective to a ridiculous degree than either UFC or Zuffa Boxing are right now. Perhaps that will change in a year as Zuffa Boxing put $100 million per year, blah, blah, blah. We're going to kind of circle back to that, but he brought up Tubi. Tubi or not Tubi, Bryan? And then NWA goes, hey, we're on Tubi now. And Dave ain't glazing it. Dave ain't saying shit. Apparently, allegedly, NWA is doing similar ratings to TNA on fucking Comet. Dave ain't saying shit. I thought he studied and learned. He fucking knows that it's out there, but he ain't gonna say shit about it.
Baby, learn Meltzer Inferno.
Because then people will go, oh, NWA's on fire. Like, he doesn't want to add to that. And I wish I was watching NWA and didn't have to fake the funk about it, and I could start glazing it personally on PWT Live Show. If I was actually watching it, maybe I fucking would. I try and show clips. I try and talk about what's going on in NWA, but I don't watch it every week. I'm just being honest. If people like myself and you guys viewing at home, the millions watching on HBO Max, DMDMW right now, if we started getting that narrative, like, damn, dude, NWA's kicking TNA's ass, and we start doing that, fucking Dave's going to be sweating bullets because now people are going to go, oh, NWA's going to beat Collision and stuff like that. So he doesn't want to be the guy who brings this up. But again, he goes from fucking doing cartwheels over it because Fox is buying Roku. And so Dave is trying to make AEW's deal seem bigger. Their deal with Tubi, which is how Tubi works is, and I actually watched a video on this recently because Brendan Schaub put his like Gearheads Gone Wild show, and there was 4 episodes. He filmed them himself and he put them on Tubi. So how it works is, like, I think you pay to get your show on there. So Tubi does produce original stuff, right? Or they pay for stuff, or you can pay to get your stuff on there. And if it's exclusive, there's a different term for it. Like maybe it's like Tubi exclusive. It's not Tubi original, but it'll be called like a Tubi exclusive or whatever. So AEW wouldn't be that. So I don't know if you're paying to have the Tubi exclusive or whatever the fuck. And that's where it's only on Tubi for the first airing of it, right? But either way, though, you get paid, like, similar to YouTube, a cut of the fucking ad revenue. So Dave is trying to be like, well, it's affiliated with Fox, but really just Fox scooped up Tubi to bring in the ad revenue that they do. It's like them owning their own little YouTube that makes originals and stuff here and there. Like, it's just so stupid the way Dave will glaze it when it comes to AEW. Doesn't even bring it up when it comes to NWA. All the fuck I gotta say is NWA. Okay? So anyways, we move along, and Dave, he's talking about Forbidden Door and the pay-per-views going head-to-head and whatnot. And so I know I'm a little all over the place, but I'm trying to keep it thematic. Because he compares WWE to Forbidden Door. Well, he's not even comparing them. He's just comparing the head-to-head aspect to last year and how WWE got their asses kicked. And they should be worried, even though Dave can't fucking rack his brain behind this Forbidden Door. And even he's critical of it and doesn't feel like it's very Forbidden Door-ish. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, because here's more Cope and the way Dave... When it comes to WWE or other feds, they get their asses kicked. They're learning their lesson. They're fucking Tubi's affiliated with Fox. How dare NXT run against Forbidden Door? Shoes on the other foot. He ain't got nothing to say. Let's see.
If I'm WWE and I am doing my first non-Tuesday night big time show on the CW, and granted, it won't, because of the nature of pay-per-view versus television, it won't hurt them that bad, but it will hurt them. It's just like, I want to go in there with my best foot forward, and I wouldn't want to go head-to-head with the AEW show.
Theirs is a free show while AEW is doing a pay-per-view. And Dave, you just said that the Raw audience, all of them in the UK, were brand new, minority, exclusively WWE fans, among other labels. So why would that have any effect on Forbidden Door? And it's two completely different animals. It's a pay-per-view for the challenger brand, the Coke to their Pepsi, the Pepsi to their Coke, Brian, and NXT's fucking developmental and is just on the CW. And guess what, dipshit? I'm pretty sure Great American Bash, and if not Great American Bash, then a slew of other PLEs for NXT just became TV specials and air on fucking Tuesday. Valentine's Day Massacre, Spring Breakin', or whatever the fuck. They just put those on a Tuesday. Had the club going up, the C-dub going up on a Tuesday. I'm pretty sure Great American Bash was like a 2-week special before it, or Halloween Havoc has been and things like that. So Dave's like, oh, your big monster Great American Bash show. I don't know, man. Great American Bash has been demoted. Once a top-tier marquee WCW pay-per-view, then became a B-list WWE pay-per-view, then became a NXT television special 2-week extravaganza, and is now like a B-level PLE for them in a rebuilding phase. It's like a whole new generation. You look at the card and it's like a whole new crop other than Tony D. And like, I guess Evil, if you watch Nuge, he's a vet, but like everyone's just brand new. And it's like a whole new era of NXT right now. So it's like a rebuilding, and they're just airing it on a Sunday for free. So how would there be any lesson to be learned, Dave? You need to learn how pay-per-view is different from CW.
Especially with the type of pay-per-views AEW's been putting on lately. I mean, even though this show isn't going to do what the last one did, it's still going to do a sizable number because AEW's got a lot of, they seem to have a lot of goodwill in the pay-per-view front.
No, that's just you making that up, Dave. You just invented that.
Doing consistently great shows has helped them out a lot.
I don't think they've done consistently great shows. I think they're inconsistent. Now, I know you fucking smooth brain clapping like seals at fucking everybody had such a long, crazy physical match, and that's every single pay-per-view. And so you're like, this one's better than the last. Even though Dave just put over the Bucks on Dynamite by being like, well, you didn't need to have a great match in that time, even though they could have. So you agree it shouldn't all just be like banger, 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 or else nothing's really a banger. So you do actually agree with that. It's a Freudian slip. You just won't fucking admit it. But you will admit that when you're trying to put someone over. Anyways, Nobody fucking cares. No one cares about this shit. And you're sitting here trying to say the pay-per-views, they've been so great. No, that's what the 30 people who vote on Cage Match think. Okay? The AEW pay-per-views have been super mid, and there's been a couple really good ones. They've had a couple banger shows, and it depends if that's even your taste. Like Double or Nothing, I rated like a B+. Everyone's like, it was the greatest show, one of the best pay-per-views of all time. I don't know, man. I rate that like a B+. If you're to compare that to other pay-per-views that AEW themselves have put on, I just don't know. And WWE and if WrestleMania 40 is like A++, like that was the peak, we're peaking. Oh, even Dave's like, it's peaked so hard. Then what the fuck was Double or Nothing? Like a B, a B+, I say that's a fair grade. That's all I'm saying. Like, how are we fucking rating these things? Dave doesn't even know.
You kind of, I mean, it won't,
He just lies about the pay-per-view numbers. Like, we're supposed to believe he gets the numbers from Max, Amazon, AEW Plus, or whatever it's called, My AEW. And then when they go to Paramount, he's going to get the fucking Paramount Plus numbers. Like, we're expected to believe that when Tone publicly says he doesn't know the fucking Max numbers, but Dave has them somehow. And then he's like, well, I use math to figure out the numbers. Okay, but some guy did your math and then compared it to the 90s when you had 10 million people watching both shows, WCW and WWE, and then pay-per-views were actually pay-per-views, and you had to buy pay-per-views and you couldn't pirate everything. And it was probably more too, because you got to think about it like, okay, you'd buy a pay-per-view in a bar and people used to have to go out, flock to bars over flooding at capacity. The younger generations don't even go out as much and drink and shit as much as they used as the past generations. People used to go to see a Mike Tyson fight, the bar, or like to watch WrestleMania. Shit would be overflowing full, packed to watch pay-per-views. So really, what are the true numbers on how did you even tabulate a bar bought a pay-per-view or whatever? How the fuck would you even calculate? It was probably more people than we thought. And some guy crunched Dave's numbers, used his own numbers for AEW, and the math didn't even math Dave. So there's no way they have momentum with the pay-per-views. You don't know that.
I don't expect it to do, what the last.
And piracy is more rampant than ever.
Last one did, but I do expect it to do a pretty damn good number just because I think that there's a lot of goodwill involved.
The most like piracy type shit you could do is sometimes people would order the pay-per-view and you could tape them. So we would tape them and then you have it taped and you could fucking watch it again. Or they waited like a month or two and then you could go rent the tape and then you could copy the tape. And then like when people had the disc burners, you could burn matches. Like I would do that with the DVDs. You could burn matches and like video files to DVDs. That came later though, obviously. And I would burn wrestler themes to discs and stuff like that. But your boy Phil would go on LimeWire and I'd fucking download, like you'd get I remember like Scott Steiner debuted in WWE. And then like after the pay-per-view, like the night after the pay-per-view or whatever, someone like uploaded it to LimeWire. I like looked it up and downloaded it to LimeWire and it was super shitty quality. And then it was like a 2-minute clip of that. Like you couldn't get a whole pay-per-view in full. I could look up any pay-per-view right now and find it. Especially with a VPN, nordvpn.com/ProWrestleTimes. Get 75% off and 3 free months right now. So give me any match or segment. I could find it right now just by typing it in. So like Dave has to understand this. People who want to watch the CW show are going to watch the CW show. WWE, there was no lesson to be learned. You just invented that in your head last year. And that's why you're thinking so hard and cringing and wincing so hard, Dave, because you're full of shit. And you're just like thinking so hard of some new bullshit lie to try and peddle. When whoever's going to watch NXT is going to watch NXT. Whoever's going to watch Forbidden Door is going to watch Forbidden Door. And people, WWE stopped going head to head with WWE or AEW, pardon me, and people believe you when you say shit like this, Dave. This is why it's important. WWE stopped going head to head with AEW because I just think that was their plan in general. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Dave Meltzer even reported himself. Yeah, they stopped for now. It'll probably start again next year. They'll do head to heads again. So Dave just wanted to create a fake narrative and people ran with it that WWE need to learn their lesson. Now, a bunch of people point to, well, Goldberg did shitty numbers on USA and that made them, they got kicked off or NBC or whatever for Saturday Night Main Event because they went head to head with AEW. And so they got kicked off there and they're blah, 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 blah. And then a bunch of people have debunked that. That shit gets community noted because people have fact checked that. And that's not what happened. And the Goldberg thing was so cleverly planned out, and I've laid it out. They purposefully cut him off so that everybody searched, well, what did Goldberg retirement speech, and then Goldberg cuts promos, and everyone's going, oh, they cut off his retirement. And then while AEW was going on, everybody's Googling, and they get Goldberg retirement trending. And then they just upload it to YouTube where millions and billions the millions and millions get to see it, and not just whoever tuned in who have Peacock or whatever. So it's such a cope, and it's because Dave says shit like this.
It is weird having that cage match in the main event and not a title match. We'll see what that means. I mean, they rarely do pay-per-views without a title matches, on the card. They have done a few that have not done as well as usual. So whatever.
So Dave is even fucking saying, yeah, AEW, they don't do the world title, which when the world title is not on the line, it doesn't do as good. But WWE should still be worried. What? How is this like the top guy, the top dog in the biz? Like giving his analytics and talking about shit, and people take him seriously. I just don't understand. And yet he's allowed to call people fraudcasters and stuff. So here's Dave, like he can't even rack his brain around Forbidden Door. It's whatever. I mean, they're not doing a title match. That shouldn't do so good. But NXT, they're free on the CW. So they should learn their lesson doing PLEs head to head. It's on the CW, bitch. It's not a fucking PLE. It's NXT. It's not like it's supposed to draw. It's not like a great, Saturday Night Main Event or SummerSlam or WrestlePalooza, Dave, like you're coping over. It's not even like any of those events. It's the developmental show that they're like, fuck it, just put it on the CW.
This show, I don't know how much of the actual idea of the Forbidden Door exists anymore because New Japan is not at the same level that it was, but that this doesn't feel Forbidden Door-ish all that much. And
not much.
It feels like an AEW show.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's Zach, there's
there's Zach. I mean,
Starlight Kid, and I think there's somebody else.
Oh my God, Forbidden Door. Hey Dave, there's 10 matches on the card. I previewed it last night, Time Cop. There's 10 or 12 matches on the card, and counting the 0 hour. And Dave Meltzer goes, well, I mean, Zach, what's his name? Zack Sabre Jr. is on there. And, Starlight Kid. And, I think, except it's like, actually, I can't remember any. He names 2 people and then can't remember a third.
The only reason I know about this is because I know about it.
Wow.
I guess what Pac is facing.
Oh, Shota Umino. That's the other
They
one.
don't even know. That's how poorly the show is built. The biggest dick rider, Dave, for Tone, doesn't even know what's on this shitty fucking
I don't
show.
know.
Neither does Dave. He doesn't even know what's on the show.
The best guy is Tony Khan.
He doesn't even know who's on it. It's not a crossover. Tone just puts all these logos on here. One wrestler from each game. He doesn't even know Mystico is on the card in a fucking random 3-way tag match or some shit wrestling the Bucks. Dave can't even think of that.
So, but nobody knows about that match yet. But yeah, so those are like.
But
that's the
nobody
only
knows about. So listen to this. So
I don't know.
Yeah, according to Dave, nobody knows. So listen to Dave admitting that Tone fucking stooges
The best guy is Tony Khan.
So nobody knows about that match yet. So what do you mean? Like, is that something that you think GG leaked on the fucking air that you and him discussed that Tone called you and told you about, Dave? Did you just fucking stooge that? What do you mean? It's on the poster. We know about it. Or did you tell that to Garrett and that it just, this is before anybody knew, or it was in the public and you just didn't realize people knew about it? Dave's an idiot. Dave is super dumb.
That I would call outsiders that we know of, and where, we're 9 days away. There might be one or two added, but, we haven't even heard hints of them.
Yeah, again,
So it's terrible booking. It's terrible booking for a concept. Right? It's like 2 or 3 weeks out and you have no direction or no thematic presence when it comes to Money in the Bank. We'd all roast that. Right? Forbidden Door, the whole concept is like, okay, and Tone has the money. So he could work with a company like a TNA, maybe not them right now, but work with like okay, it's Forbidden Door, right? So instead of just stacking it filled with like, these are people, Hechicero, he's on Collision every week. Who gives a fuck? Oh, Forbidden Door, man. Fucking MJF's defending our world title on Indies and shit. Who cares? We see shit like that all the time. So Tone has the money. He could be like, well, let's do Killer Cross for a one-off. Let's do Riddle for a one-off. Let's bring in someone nobody. Hey, how about we don't call WWE Harvey Weinsteins, and like we accept where we are in the pecking order, and we work out a deal and get someone from over there to do a one-off, or maybe someone who is freshly released from there does a one-off at this Forbidden Door, and then they dip out for a while, and we'll talk about bringing them back in later down the line. Like that would be like, here's the chance where you can do shit like that, Tone, and people go, oh, it's Forbidden Door. That's awesome. The Forbidden Door was kicked open. I thought there was beef between fucking AAA and this, or like, dude, Mystico's like selling out everywhere and we haven't seen him in AEW, but instead he wrestles like trios matches on fucking Collision. Nobody cares. So why would they care that he's on this pay-per-view? It's fucking stupid, man. Tone's just stupid.
Belabor the point, but I just figured
because he listens to Dave, and Dave is dumb.
You put Mystico in something of worth, and you promote it around here locally, and we see what happens when he comes out here for independent shows. Like he's a value. He's a draw, an ad, and I figure that they could utilize some of that to pump up this attendance.
Imagine you go, okay, Forbidden Door time. Tone calls up Bully Ray. Come in and jump Moxley after his match or some shit. Like, let's kick the Forbidden Door open. We'll give you a one-off. You versus Mox. Flaming tables match or tax and tables if Bubba's willing. Probably wouldn't do that. But like flaming table match. Because Janela's talking about comparing you and Mox and Cardona and all this shit. Mox, Bully, flaming tables at All In. We'll set it up at Forbidden Door. Bully will kick the Forbidden Door open. And I'm not saying that's the craziest thing of all time, man. And some people might scoff at that, but at least that's Forbidden Door-esque. At least it's like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. But instead it's just overloaded with matches. And then last minute on Dynamite, he throws in LP and Sabre Jr. just wrestled on Dynamite. So who cares that he's on Forbidden Door? What's special about it? He just wrestled in front of 2,000 people on a fucking shitty show that Dave had to go, well, the wrestling was good. To a weak ass crowd. Like it's just horse shit.
But
well,
Dave defends it till he's blue in the face. And I don't mean to only shit on it constantly. I try and put AEW over where I can. And I give so many good ideas too. Like I don't just sit here and go, he's dumb, fuck him, stupid. I mean, I say that, but I also provide like, here's where he's fucking up in his thinking. Here's what Tone should be doing. How do you know you're not a billionaire? Yeah, but neither is Tone. His dad made him a billionaire. If I came out of a billionaire's dick too, I would also be a billionaire. Do you guys get it? That's what happened to Tone. You can cope about that. I'd own multiple businesses too because I have billions of dollars. You can cope about that however you want. It's just the reality of the fucking world, okay? He inherited his wealth. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Or I don't know. Some people don't like that shit, but Dave Meltzer now is going to shill for AEW and try and push AEW and sell AEW on Paramount. Before we get to that, though, FTR are stepping away from the ring. We can skim through this clip.
FTR taking some time off in a contract year.
Yeah, that's probably the right time to do that. Rest up.
And so Dave, like when I say Tone, and this is important before we get into Dave, like trying to sell and pitch Paramount on Twitter and in his shit reg in terrible run-on sentences about what Paramount Skydance should do and why they should invest in AEW and continue to fucking run with AEW. He starts like explaining how, when I called out the booking or when I said what the match was going to be at All In, I didn't know that it was going to, nobody told me it was going to be a 3-way ladder tag match. I just fucking assumed that. And it's like, Dave, it's so oddly specific. Dave went out there publicly on his show and went, well, it's going to be what everybody anticipates, Bryan. It's going to be MJF wins the title. And then they go to Montreal, and then Kenny wins the title in Montreal at Redemption. And then Kenny versus Ospreay 3. They're 1-1, one match in Nuge, one match at AEW X Nuge. The last match will be in AEW, and it'll be Kenny Ospreay 3 at All In at Wembley, and Ospreay will go over. That's the obvious thing everybody's expecting. And I'm sitting here. Your boy Phil's sitting here and I'm going, I didn't know that. And I was so disappointed. If you guys remember that show, I was so fucking upset. I was like, oh my God, did he just actually spoil what they're doing? And now Dave is coping about it. One of the other things he fucking spoiled was a 3-way match, Edge and Christian versus the Bucks versus FTR. And now New Day might be a part of that. Now, Dave's trying to play it off like, yeah, he's trying to lean into this mystery here. FTR is just taking a short time off like they did in the past, and then they're going to come back for All In. Tone just doesn't have anything for them right now, and he's not creative enough to know how to keep Edge and Christian away from FTR. Okay? And so FTR have their tag title time, and with every championship, it's just, you're the champ. Okay, you're on TV now. And now you're just going to beat all the tag teams that are never going to be champs, or if they're champs, it's only for a minute. And now you're just going to beat all the same teams FTR beat. And then eventually we'll get back to FTR and the Bucks again, or FTR and Christian Cage again, or whatever. He has no booking ideas. So FTR are going to show up last minute before All In and then just get inserted in All In, which is fine. They should be. Okay. But Tone just has nothing for them. And now Dave is going to cope like Tone doesn't book for him or talk to him or tell him these things. Just listen to this.
I presume that they'll, if they're not at Wembley, then it's pretty significant. I mean, I've got to think at Wembley they're going to do. I mean, no one's ever told me this. I just thought from day one that.
From day one, so like 7 years ago, or from day one, what? I just thought from day one that they were going to do, and what he's alluding to here is the 3-way ladder match or whatever. He was ultra specific. A 3-way ladder, TLC or whatever the fuck he said. Okay. How would you even be that specific with it unless you knew? And so same thing with Garrett, how Garrett just fucking exposed like, this match is going on. And then Dave's like, yeah, but nobody knows that yet. And then he tries to back it up. Nobody outside of our bubble of elitists know about it yet. Like, what are you even fucking talking about? Were you guys talking about this when you shouldn't have? Is this not out in the public at the time of recording? I'd love to know. Dave just seems to know these things. He's very specific about these things when it comes to AEW. We know Tone calls them. So what are we supposed to assume? Right? They say don't assume because you make an ass out of you and me, right? That's an old cringe boomer saying, but guess what? It's safe. There's also another saying. It's safe to assume certain things when there's enough evidence presented. It's safe to assume, motherfucker, you know what's being booked. You've laid it all out. You've stooged it. You've done it in the past. We've chronicled it. And now listen to him. I wasn't told this, but
excuse me. That Wembley would be the three-way ladder match, you know, with the Young Bucks, FTR, and
he's allergic to bullshit. That's why he sneezed.
Adam Copeland and Christian. And again, like everything is kind of built up to where that match makes sense, and everything. And so I would think that they would be back for that. They're, you know, they are wrestling. I think it's against what's the team from the UK? The team with the guy that, remember the guy that wrestled Ishii when we were there?
Oh, yeah, I forget the team.
Luke Jacobs and Ethan Allen. Yeah, so they're going to be wrestling them the night before Wembley. So
now look at this. Oh my fucking God. Oh my God, Dave. Oh, he's so
Dave is so bad.
Stupid.
Dave is the devil.
Oh my God. Again, I'm proven right. Dax, you can block me. Dave, you can fucking falsely strike my videos. Fucking don't do that, but you did that once. Okay. Or one of your fucking stooges did. Dave. And we got that taken care of swiftly. Dave, you can cope all you want about this. All you AEW wrestlers can cope. Tone can fucking cope. Look at how bad Dave is for AEW. So FTR trying to work a fucking angle where we're taking time off from feeding our families. We're going to take some time off. So, and usually, you know, we love to wrestle to feed our families. And Tone's like, yeah, they're taking time off. And they're working this bit where they're taking time off so that they can show up out of nowhere at Redemption, probably in Canada. And then Spike pile drive and get tons of heat on them again, and fuck up the match between the Bucks and Edge and Christian. I'm fantasy mark booking here. And then at All In, they can do their match. And Dave just stooged what? Well, they're booked to wrestle this UK team that we can't even remember the fucking name of in the UK the night before Wembley. But boy, oh boy, Dave's trying to keep kayfabe. Boy, oh boy. I don't know if they're going to be at Wembley. I mean, if they're not at Wembley, boy, that's going to really be telling that it's a significant time off. But they're booked to wrestle guys in the UK the night before the Wembley show.
He had Cuervo with him the whole time, too.
Whoa, man. Dave is fucked up. He's so bad for AEW. He just stooged that fucking angle. Dave, this is how much nobody knew about FTR wrestling in the UK. Dave and Bry couldn't even remember the fucking name of the team that they're wrestling in the UK the night before Wembley. Nobody knew about the match. They're trying to work a fucking angle where FTR are taking time off. And why? I can only assume so they psych, we don't take time off. Or they legit, Tone has nothing for them on TV until at Wembley. And Dave just stooges that they're going to be in the UK the night before doing a tag team match against somebody. So why the fuck? So that just stooged that they're going to be at Wembley All In. And it just stooged that this whole taking time off is not even a thing. Or if it is, it's just till Redemption, or you just killed the momentum and the hype because your sycophants are AEW sycophants. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty good clue.
It's a pretty good.
See that? Brian just felt some. Well, that's a pretty good clue. Oh, you think, bud?
I would think that they would. I can't imagine going to England for the Rev Pro show, which is it's the biggest show in Rev Pro
it's a
history.
big show. It's such a big show, Rev Pro.
As far as I think they're booking Wembley Arena maybe for that show. But it's a giant show, but they're on that show. They're one, and so I would assume that they will be at Wembley Stadium, the next day.
Meanwhile, Wade Barrett goes, and Rey Mysterio is the most famous luchador of all time, Cole. And then Dave Meltzer's like, El Santo. And he gets all triggered by kayfabe. And then here Dave's trying to keep kayfabe for FTR and play stupid and go, if they miss Wembley. And then he's like, he can't even help himself. because he's such a fucking stooge. Well, actually, they're going to be in the UK the night before. And then Bry's just like, well, so then they're going to be at All In. So why would you even say that other part? Trying to keep kayfabe for tone. And he's such an idiot, and he's such a dead behind the eyes shark brain monster. He thinks we're all dumb enough that we can't see through this shit. Crazy. Crazy shit, dude. So now Dave Meltzer tries to sell AEW to Paramount. Okay, and we went over this. I just want to quickly. So Niccolo Piccolo goes, you don't know anyone at Paramount. Here's Dave talking about the DOJ's antitrust division announced 6/12 it was closing the investigation without imposing any requirements for divestitures or other concessions on the part of David Ellison's Paramount Skydance. Tony Khan, has of course expressed nothing but a positive vibe and called the deal the best thing for him, for the best guy, the best thing for the best guy, citing the potential for larger platforms for the company and a friendship with Ellison coming from working together on NFL projects. So fire Mick Foley because his silence is complicit. Cancel him now. Others have claimed that UFC being a part of Paramount Plus will doom AEW. No, it's not just UFC being a part of it. Okay? Dave, it's what you're saying. Well, AEW does 500,000 viewers. Yeah, on TNT Sport. Apparently, they're going to do away with that, and it's just all going to be on Paramount Plus. And if there is TNT, it might go away. It might just be a fucking streaming thing. We don't even know yet. And that's not going to translate. Okay? The 500,000 and the people on HBO Max aren't all going to start buying Paramount every month necessarily, and it's not going to translate from TV to fucking Paramount. They don't care about pay-per-views. Oh, they do great pay-per-views. They just paid the UFC $7.7 billion to not do pay-per-views anymore. They just did $17 million for the UFC Freedom 250 show. And it's because of that. They're down with Trump. They're down with fucking Musk. They're down with Ari Emanuel. They're down with Dana White. They're down with Triple H. They're down with the McMahons. That's who they're fucking down with, dude. They're down with Peter Thiel and Joe Rogan. And but that's who they're fucking down with, okay? That's what it has to do with. UFC is just a huge extension of that. UFC is an example of business-wise why they don't give a fuck about any of the shit you're selling. Dave's like, well, it's low cost and they do good pay-per-views. They just paid UFC $7.7 billion to stop doing pay-per-views, Dave, entirely. And then they put on this huge show. They did 17 million viewers, the same viewership as a Netflix MMA show with Ronda Rousey on it. Netflix has 4 to 5 times their fucking reach globally. So Paramount's licking their chops, and guess what? Conor McGregor's back in 2 weeks.
Stupid idiot.
Conor McGregor's coming back in 2 weeks, buddy. Or a week now. When is that? A week? 2 weeks? I don't know. Everything. There's so many events. So, Dave, they don't care about AEW's cheap to fucking put on and they do good paper. They don't care. They're saying, what kind of big, spectacular, crazy events can you do for us to where we don't need you to do pay-per-view? We'll just use it to sell Paramount and get more subscribers. AEW's not going to bring in more subscribers to Paramount. And if it is, it's an insignificant number. What don't you understand about that, Dave? You don't study and learn, Dave. You don't have sources. You're trying to spin it and pitch it and go, well, because of other NFL projects. Right. Ellison's nice to Tone. It's just business. So he's nice to him because of NFL stuff, because of his dad. He's not nice to him because of AEW. Now, if he was nice to him because of AEW, okay. But otherwise, they don't give a fuck about that. Dana White looks at AEW guys and goes, I'll pay you to power slap. 10 and 10. 10 to show up, 10 if you win. Not even that much, but to power slap. That's how he views it. Like you're just a goofball. And then also Ronda Rousey went on AEW programming to go fuck TKO. to try and sell her fight that they directly competed with, that everybody was comparing the fucking ratings to. Are we forgetting that? So it's not because UFC's on there. Dave tries to simplify it for his retarded fucking audience who just lap this shit up and believe everything he says. And we're going to actually go over a post from someone who might be trolling because it's just the fucking brain rot is uncanny. Okay? But Dave Meltzer simplifies it, and then he tries to extrapolate that into, well, you know, Tubi has WWE Evolve, and apparently if you're a TKO affiliated property, other like AEW's not allowed on those things, but AEW's on Tubi. Yeah, because anyone can go on Tubi. I could film a show on my fucking iPhone and put it on Tubi. Dave. Like, you're cooked. You just don't even know what you're talking about. So anyways, those at Paramount have said that one thing does not relate to the other. Nobody at Paramount said that to you. None. Nobody. Quote who it was. Give me a quote. And where are you sourcing that from? Because you cannot just say those at Paramount. You don't know anybody at Paramount, Dave.
You know, poor people don't like AEW.
Others have claimed that UFC, those at Paramount said that one thing does not. And when he says others have claimed that, you mean people on Twitter? Fuck, man. In the long run, as it relates to AEW, one way or another, this will all come out in the wash in about 1 year, as the two sides will either be negotiating a new deal in the summer or they will cancel the shows. Obviously, AEW could likely find another media outlet, but the question is always, can they find one that would pay the same range? Do you see this? So Dave is like, oh, Tone, no, you have to hold out for the $185 million. So the truth is their last TV deal was not, it was upwards $185 million, estimated at $165, not in cash, not at all in cash. Tone has to subsidize tons of shit. They have not made money. They might be bringing in the most revenue. Okay, there's no proof of that. But if they are, cool, not profitable, not a big deal. Not all companies are profitable. And especially after 7 years, whatever. But Tone could have ran this as a profitable operation if he was smart this whole time, but that's besides the point. Dave is sitting here going, oh, if they can find one at the same level, nobody's going to offer them $185 million. Nobody's going to offer them that. They'll get more than TNA. Nobody's going to offer them that. And Tone is clearly rolling out my AEW. That's what it's all about for him, and he's not trying to spend money right now. They asked him at the media calls about acquiring like the tape library to PWG and like old, like Lucha Underground and old feds so they can air their stuff on my AEW. And Tone's like, no, I'm just interested in current indies and stuff. Why, guys? Because he is trying to sell my AEW to everybody in every little local territory. You like your local indie, you can follow it on TV, essentially. My AEW, plus you get all of our shows. And Tone pays based on retention rate and shit, Dave. Stuff you don't even talk about because you don't know nothing about that. My gut, if that's not canceled, that Paramount Skydance would just go with the option year deal, which would be a far number. Here's the thing, Dave. Even if they do the option year, which I doubt they will, but even if they do, okay, they also technically own 25% of it. So maybe they're like, yeah, we'll scrape up the year. Like, nobody's even saying they won't do the option even. But it's just the fact of the matter, if WWE and these guys look at AEW, and if the Ellisons don't try and put together a deal where WWE absorbs AEW in some capacity, then they're just going to go, whatever, fuck you. We don't want anything to do with this. Now, why? Again, I point you guys towards a gentleman named Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Blown Apart, all one word, not bone apart, but Blown Apart, all one word. He does MMA documentaries. He talks about WWE and pro wrestling here and there because there's overlap, right? And in one of his recent docs, he talks about TKO and how it's affecting pro wrestling and stuff like that, as well as MMA and UFC, and what TKO's objective is. And this is what Nicolo Piccolo has fucking DM'd me about. He's fucking tweeted out ad nauseum. He's fucking let it be known to the world. What TKO's trying to do is like, they're just trying to own wrestling. That's why they have the ID, because then they have control over the indies too, and building the fucking indie stars. Look at Starboy Charlie getting pulled off shows and shit. They just want to run wrestling. That's why they started their own bull riding league, because we'll just own that. Is there a big deal? Is there a big time professional bull riding league? No, well, we'll just make one. Oh, pro wrestling? Yeah, we'll just be the top dogs of that. MMA? Yeah. UFC, we have the biggest fucking... And that's what UFC was already doing. They bought Strikeforce, they bought Pride, they absorbed everything, the same way WWE did. So TKO's initiative is, we'll just start a power... Well, I mean, that wasn't TKO, that was more Dana White's venture. But when it comes to Power Slap, but essentially they're just going to create the leagues, and they're going to be the ones to run. They want to run the whole of certain things, not fucking have a little piece of the pie of the pro wrestling. So what AEW offers is the challenger brand, store-bought brand piece of the slice of the pie. And they're like, dude, we have fucking Gordon Ramsay fucking filet mignon. What's his what's Gordon Ramsay's specialty dish? I forget what it's called. The Wagyu beef, Brian. He does the beef Wellingtons, right? You got beef Wellingtons over here. You guys are talking about some McDonald's over there. No, I'm trying to do a play on the Wagyu beef because that was the cope for the longest time, right? But you guys have like a small, like store-bought brand piece of the pie of pro wrestling. You're a super indie. TKO doesn't want anything to do with that. So it's not because UFC's on there. It's because it's either you fucking merge with WWE and sell it to WWE. And it could happen, guys. Let me explain. AEW, and I've always said this, Tone would sell AEW to WWE in 1 minute if, and this is a big if.
Sometimes in life, you got to be a hoe.
Tone could get a job in creative, in Gorilla, with Triple H, going to every Raw, going to every SmackDown. In fact, Tone was going to buy WWE in 2023 after all the allegations and shit. He put in bids.
The best guys, Tony Khan.
So what does that tell you? What would he have done? Do you think Tone would have prioritized Raw and working with TKO and doing all this crazy business and working with Nick Khan? And you think Nick Khan would be dipped out because if he bought WWE? No, bitch. He'd be working with all these people. Let's say Tone bought WWE. He wouldn't take the Saudi money anymore and shit. So Tone's down to take Saudi money. You think he would have switched it up where he'd want this juggernaut? Where do you think his focus would go? Would he be focused on Dynamite more or going to every Raw and putting his fingerprints all over that? What do you guys honestly think? What do you sickos out there think? We all know what your fucking wet dreams are.
Brian.
Okay? And you guys know, like I do, Tone is a mega WWE fan. And he would go and book Raw and SmackDown. He'd be all fucking over that shit. He'd be in Gorilla going, oh, it's great. Yeah, I like that one. On the headset in Gorilla. Okay? He tried to buy WWE, he put in a bid. He wanted to buy WWE. So where do you think his priorities would lie? So we all know this. We're all not fucking stupid like Dave thinks everybody is, just he's really dumb and he's hanging on a thread of hope. You're offering like a little piece of the pie of like the pro wrestling business. TKO's trying to be the wrestling business. TKO has politics with the Ellisons and all of this shit. You just got to understand that, Dave. That's what it's all about. Rock, it's what it's all about. It's what we live for. Come on, shout it out. Okay, so Dave Meltzer, he responds to Front Row Brian. Now, Front Row Brian's gone at it with Nicolo Piccolo even. He goes at it with whoever the fuck, but he's knowledgeable, whether you like him or not, whether he likes you or not. You have to accept this. He's knowledgeable and knows what he's talking about when it comes to the business aspect of this shit. And especially when it comes to MMA and pro wrestling. He just doesn't watch pro wrestling and shit. But Front Row Brian on Twitter said that UFC rights was right in line with what Wall Street analysts were forecasting. An overpay would have been 2.5x step up average annual value. They came in at 1.9 to 2 times step up. So basically shutting down Dave's narrative of like, they paid this, and of course they'll take AEW on. They paid this inflated number. Front Row Brian is hitting him with a technicality here. Study and learn, Dave. Dave quote tweets it and goes, given AEW in 25 did roughly the same TV ratings as UFC. AEW did 60% or more of UFC on pay-per-view. Prove that. Prove that, Dave, or go to fucking jail. Dave's unhinged.
Liar! Tell us what you know, you goddamn liar!
Prove that shit. With the same comparisons in line for what AEW should get. Also factor in AEW is even better when guarding against churn because UFC audience varies greatly based on main event, while AEW on Wednesday will give you a solid number 52 weeks a year and far less pay-per-view variation. No, Dave. No. On TNT, you might get 500,000 viewers every week. They don't care about that because that's not going to translate into viewership on Paramount. They just gave the UFC 7.7 billion or whatever again to not do pay-per-views and to not be on TV. And guess what show's on TV? The Ultimate Fighter. Or no, I think it might even be on Paramount. Guess who's not watching it? Everybody's not watching it. Most MMA fans are like, I didn't even know the Ultimate Fighter season started again. So Dave goes 600 million per year sounds low based on 1.1 billion not being an overpay. So Dave is sitting here comparing them. AEW, if you gave them 600 million per year to stay with Paramount, that sounds low actually if you think about UFC that got a 7-year deal at 7.7 billion. Holy fuck, Dave. You're mental. Bro, you don't know a goddamn thing.
Dave is the devil. Oh.
You're cooked. He's comparing it to UFC, man. That just did 17 million. Connor's back in 2 weeks. They turned away the Ronda fight so that she could go get more money elsewhere. Dave, you have no idea what's even going on. 600 million per year is low for AW, even though their ratings and attendances are the shits compared to their last TV deal when they got their last TV deal. And they got upwards 185 million that time. So it's doing worse, except for Dave's lie pay-per-view numbers. And people are like, well, they drew 14,000 for Double or Nothing. Okay, and they drew 15,000 roughly for Sting's retirement too. Their ticket prices are the lowest they've ever been. That's what they're flexing. Bring the family. Tickets are cheap. So who gives a fuck? That's good for them. They should be. Your big major SummerSlam, WrestleMania type show, Double or Nothing, should draw 14K. You're in fucking New York. Do you know how many million? There's more people in New York than are in fucking Canada, I'm pretty sure. You should draw 14K for that show. Raw or WWE did a house show at MSG and did 19K or whatever the fuck the number was. Not even long before that. So what do we, okay, good for them. That is solid, amazing, but so you should be doing. It's like the Chris Rock joke where he's like, grown bitches will be saying things like, I pay my bills. I don't go to jail. And he's like, bitch, you supposed to pay your bill. You ain't supposed to go to jail, motherfucker. Shout out Chris Rock, man. He's one of the goats. But anyways, Dave is just coping here. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And I wrote this. I was like, what the fuck do they care about 500 to 700K viewers on TV that won't translate to Paramount Plus or pay-per-view? They gave UFC $7 billion to not do pay-per-view anymore. And then I get responses. No one believes they got 17 million viewers, except for they did. Even their fucking detractors accept that shit. And then this guy here, none of their shows came close to 17 million regularly. Nobody said regularly, dumb fuck. Holy shit. And they've already said they would go back to the White House. Nope. Dana White said the opposite. So again, you have these AEW fans, these uneducated, dumb motherfuckers. Okay? That Dave is like their high IQ aliens from another, and they're all rich millionaires
poor
who love
people
AEW.
who don't like AEW.
Meanwhile, they come in the comments and they just literally talk out of their ass, like what Dave accuses everybody else of doing. This is what you guys do. Here's the proof, Dave. And then you have someone with sensibility, exactly, especially if we're going to analyze in their own market what WWE Raw is getting on Netflix. 2.4 to 3.5 million. Then they see AEW with their 580K. It's like seeing some girl at the gym waddling around and then walking right in front of her is Jade Cargill. Well, that's a good comparison. Every penny counts with Ari Emanuel. That's Ray says. No. And then this guy goes, when was the last time Dynamite got 700K? So again, he's felting Dynamite, but it's like, true that, buddy, but I'm being generous. I said 500K to 700K. So yeah, shout out some people who get it here. Somebody in quotations, because Dave. Right? And then, yeah, you just have people like 17 million viewers, and then they're getting linked to like actual journalists who actually study the business. Dave is a fake MMA reporter. All of the fucking pro wrestling fans, the same way they were like, the Ronda Rousey fight was a work. No, you guys just don't watch MMA. You're not MMA fans. You're pro wrestling fans. You don't know shit. You think everything's a work. You don't know shit when it comes to that world, okay? And then same with Dave. He has his sycophants believing the shit he says about MMA. When in the MMA world, the only thing they source Dave Meltzer from is his numbers, or is his numbers when it comes to ticket sales historically and for current events and for numbers that he gives. However, the MMA audience, and I see the comments, man. I see the comments. I commented under a prominent account that posted a Dave Meltzer, like a prominent MMA account. And I fucking posted like, Dave's a fraud in the pro wrestling business. He's considered the biggest fraudulent fuck of all time. Soon the MMA audience will catch on. And a bunch of people like that shit. I should have bookmarked it, maybe for next show. And a bunch of people responded and were like, yeah, that's facts and shit. So I cannot wait until the MMA audience realizes he's just full of shit too. But again, he wrote shit down. So for some of these obscure MMA events, or like back in the day, if like a Pride event did numbers and MMA was considered like a fucking brutal death cockfighting blood sport, Dave would report numbers. Like he would be the guy to go, here's what Tokyo Sports said that Pride did. They sold 17,000 tickets or whatever. I'm just making shit up. And then he would report that. So same thing in MMA, but his wrestling sycophants and the people who are majorly his followers believe what he has to say about UFC and MMA and shit. And it's like, no, you guys they did 17 million. And the numbers I'm giving you, I lowballed UFC too in that tweet. I said they gave him 7 billion. They gave them 7.7 billion. That's a huge fucking difference right there. Okay? And so Dave responds to this guy, Paul Ace Fontaine. Right? So put your mittens on your kittens and away we go. So Dave Meltzer responds to this Paul Fontaine, who goes, I don't believe they're over 1 million every week, but there's no way to know. Just objective facts. They're not over 1 million, Dave, and there's no way to know. Dave goes, actually, if panel is close to 800 and 200 from max, that's 1 million. What? Dave, what? How? What?
Learn, baby, learn. Meltzer Inferno.
Holy shit. Nobody knows, but 200 feels a conservative estimate, especially consider the only numbers reported were far higher. No numbers were reported. BJ Bethel fucking lied.
Stupid idiot!
And the numbers for the NBA are like 180,000 or whatever.
For, the young superstar, babyface, the former heel thing.
So no, Dave, there was nothing reported. Again, you're embellishing the truth. BJ Bethel's a fraud. And 200 doesn't feel conservative if you compare it to the NBA. You don't know shit. You want to say you'd be a top NFL reporter? You'd be laughed out of the room if you tried to tell NFL and NBA reporters that AEW was beating any of those shits on Max. And if they were doing 200K, for a fact, Max would melt down and go, we did over 1 million views. And we know because they've done it for other sports. So WBD would go, including the simulcast, Lakers, Mavericks, 2.8 million or whatever the fuck, right? 28 million watched, and that was about 200,000 watched on fucking HBO. And it was a 10% conversion or whatever the fuck. Or just less than 10% conversion. And then Dave sits here and goes, 30%, 40% if they do 40%. Brian. Dave's a fraud. The rumors are, and this is courtesy of Famous Davis. Okay.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
And just what people have said. But he went on record and said it. So I'll divert people's attention to him because he gave a specific. I'll tell you this. The rumors are it's the tens of thousands. I've always maintained if they do not, I've always said I'll give them 100,000. If it came out, they do 90,000 viewers. I'd be like, okay, it's actually pretty good. What I personally think is they maybe 50,000 is lucky. Famous Davis said he heard. And I don't know, is he a good dirt sheet? I don't know. He quit Body Slam. They released everybody after that fucking Nicolo Piccolo interview. It's funny when you Google Nicolo Piccolo, my interview with him comes up on the fucking, it's hilarious. Because it was just an off the cuff, he's in chat. I'm like, oh shit, is he in chat? Come on the show. Well, he actually was like, let me on the show. And I was like, okay, come on the show. I actually didn't even realize. So, and it was a brilliant interview, and it comes up when you Google him. So that's pretty cool. But pat myself on the back there. But Famous Davis, when he had Nicolo Piccolo on, he said that the rumors were they were getting 20K viewers, dude. 20 fucking K across all their shows like Collision, Dynamite, For the Week, 20K. Now, is that real? Is he just an AEW hater? Is he just talking shit? I don't know. I don't know much about him. He just kind of blew up on the scene out of nowhere. It wouldn't shock me. If they came out and said 25,000 viewers, I'd hit him with the Nate Diaz. I'm not surprised, motherfucker. That's all I'm saying, okay? So, Meltzer said, what's this? 200K is a conservative estimate, in quotes, especially when you factor in and compare it to the completely fictitious made-up number by the lying AEW stan, Ohio high school sports reporter, which is BJ Bethel, and he just made that shit up. And so Raj Giri felts Dave too. Shout out Raj Giri. He says, so what's more accurate, panel or panel plus big data? Oh, you don't know? Nielsen has showed how flawed their numbers are. But you want to compare those numbers over a Netflix streaming number. Different methodologies, different companies monitoring them, and different things. I can't stress this enough. Even my AEW is going to pay the indies on their shit based on retention rate and things like that. Things that Dave, nobody brings up like, well, can we get the retention rate numbers? That's really important. Meanwhile, ask any YouTuber, ask your boy Phil S. Marks. Let me tell you what's the most important thing. More important than subs, more important than fucking a lot of different things. Okay? It's the fucking retention rate. That's especially what YouTube, that's what Tubi does. It's the same type of fucking deal. Tone will be lucky to get one like that from Amazon or something, okay? Nobody's paying $600 million to maybe get what is like Paramount thinks what they're going to convert 500,000 people, and now all the people who signed up to Max now got to jump over to Paramount Plus, or it'll just merge and then your Max account, HBO Max account will become Paramount Plus, or does Paramount go, no, we're going to keep HBO Max its own thing? We don't even know yet. But Dave's sitting there like, oh yeah, Tone doesn't even have the numbers, but 200,000 is conservative, even though the NBA doesn't do 200,000 for some of the games that Warner Bros. Has flexed publicly. And Netflix looks at like 10 different key demos, kids being a huge factor, and it's about retention rate and replays and shit like that. Those are like two of the most important fucking factors. Are people rewatching shit? And how long can we just keep them on our app with our programming? You notice you go on Netflix, it's like the fucking casino. You can't see outside. There's no time. There's no clock. You go on your YouTube app on your TV. It doesn't show you what time it is. Why? Because they just want you clicking on the next thing, clicking on the next thing. If AEW can't do that, AEW can't even keep people on to watch Collision when it's right after Dynamite, buddy. Fuck. So Raj Geary goes, you like to do the AEW versus Raw comparison when you can use make-believe numbers, but just tell me, I'm dyslexic. If more people are watching Dynamite than Raw, that would mean a shitload of people are watching SmackDown over Raw. Don't you get it, Dave? By your own... The funniest part with Meltzer math is that people have been using Meltzer math to destroy... Liar! Like, he's been getting cooked with his own... Like, people are like, I'm being fair, and they give him his own numbers right back to him, and then he gets owned. And I've said this since day one. Since Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week was a fucking segment on PWT Live Show every Wednesday and Saturday night. I've said it since day one. The shit that Dave says about AEW, it just blows up in their face. He always embarrasses himself with this stuff and puts his foot in his fucking mouth and makes them look stupid because they can't live up to what he fucking says. And then he always makes WWE look better when you just want to break down mathematicals and shit. Do the mathematics. Okay? So he doesn't understand when he's like, oh, they're beating Raw. Okay, but then you're saying SmackDown's beating Raw as well. And you don't get, but you're like, SmackDown's in the shit. And and here's the thing too, less people attend SmackDown. It's the shittier of the two wrestling shows between Raw and SmackDown. Dynamite's the shittiest of all three, and the least amount of people go watch it. It's safe to assume it goes in that order, viewership-wise, too, Dave. Dynamite's not even beating SmackDown. Listen to how Raj just breaks this down with Dave's own logic. If more people are watching Dynamite than Raw, that would mean a shitload of people are watching SmackDown over Raw. Do you really believe that? SmackDown beat Dynamite by 67% in the demo last week. And SmackDown had much tougher competition. Thrown in imaginary max numbers, whatever. But if Dynamite beat Raw, that would mean that SmackDown is likely doubling Raw and the attendance. The only real fair comparison. Say otherwise, get the fuck out with that nonsense. And again, we brought up the chart that Raj Geary dropped. And I showed it on the show before, Time Cop. It's a 1-to-1 comparison. TV ratings to attendances, the drop-off. Now, again, correlation does not always mean causation, but motherfucker, looking at that 7-year graph of how it's like 1-to-1 when the TV ratings are down, so are the fucking attendances. What do you want people to believe, man? What are we supposed to believe? That's why math exists. Math is a wonderful thing. Ba, 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 ba. Math is a really cool thing, Dave Meltzer. So again, SmackDown would be smoking Raw and fucking Dynamite, which isn't the case. And objectively, we can all agree SmackDown's the shittier of the two shows, Raw and SmackDown, and less people attend it. So it's probably fair to say that Raw's the most attended and the most viewed. SmackDown's the second most attended and the most viewed. And then Dynamite's the third most attended and the most viewed in that order if we're just comparing those three shows. Because using Meltzer math, Dynamite's beating Raw, so then SmackDown's beating Dynamite and Raw. That doesn't even make sense. You know?
Liar! Tell us what you know, you goddamn liar!
So speaking of the ratings, Dave Meltzer goes, guess what, Brian or Garrett? The ratings are changing again late this summer. So just a little backstory here. The Big Plus panel data with Nielsen is a different methodology than it was previously. And since they dropped the Big Plus, which like last year, I guess, or it's been one full year since they used the Big Plus panel data, which then they switched the methodology once already, which was public. Everybody knew about it. And then Dave Meltzer with no verification. Okay. Nobody verified this at all. Dave Meltzer said that at the end of April, they changed the ratings again.
Just in, we have confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.
Nobody backed Dave up. So the prior change that Nielsen did, it was announced and they put millions of dollars into changing the methodology, and sports love it, but wrestling took a hit. Then they switched it up. Then wrestling was like inflated. And then according to Dave, they switched it up again, but nobody can really prove that. But people like myself and Raj Giri just give Dave the benefit of the doubt on that again. When we don't have to, but we do because you can just own him anyways, even harder when you just go based off his shit. Because it just always blows up in his face, as we've showcased. So now Dave is claiming nobody's backed this up, but they're changing again. Whoa, it's going to change again. And is it going to be good or bad for wrestling? Who fucking knows? Let's listen to Dave Meltzer cope about this.
You mentioned that ratings are going to change again late this summer.
I know. That could be good.
Everything's streaming. Who cares? And Dave goes, it could be good. Dude, it's only good in your mind if it means AEW is doing better ratings. It could be good for AEW. I mean, it could be good for what? For wrestling? Like, unless they sit there and go, we scientifically developed a way to read people's minds and we know exactly what they're watching and each individual, and here's the exact precise number. Who cares? This shit is obsolete. Fade away and classify myself as obsolete. Delete. It's obsolete, dude. It does not fucking matter, bro. It's all about like streaming and retention rate and pay-per-views dead and shit.
It could be even worse. We don't know. You know, it's just, I mean, the thing that really blew my mind was I didn't get the number this week, but those 2 weeks where I got the panel numbers, it's like, they're so different. It's like, you know, the SmackDown looks like it's at you know, numbers that I would say are way too low for its price tag. The numbers that they're getting now, you know, obviously when USA spent whatever the number was, it's in the 270 million range, 275, to get this show, they were expecting closer to 1.5 million than 1 million viewers, you know, closer to 0.45 than a 0.20. And a lot of it, I mean, it did decline, but a lot of the decline is this artificial decline. I mean, if you look at the panel numbers, they're so much bigger. And AEW is like, you know, I mean, the pure panel number is like, they're great numbers by the last several year standards. I mean, they're absolutely great. And, you know, you still have however many people watching on Max. So it's like, it's with AEW, it's a real comeback, but no one knows because the way they switched the ratings service, the ratings methodology with adding big data, wrestling just gets screwed. And I guess I actually have some discussions coming up this week to help me understand what makes no sense. So maybe I'll have an answer of why things make no sense more than was in this week's issue, where, you know, somebody who is a real ratings expert and saw the difference between the panel stuff and everything. And basically, this is the explanation. But I will get an even better explanation, hopefully this week.
Dave. Yeah, we're all looking for a better explanation too. Like, what happened to your hair? Why do you break the hats out sometimes? Is that when the Just for Men wears off, or what's chat saying? I haven't checked in a minute. Think of a car crash now. That is a collision. Speaking over mundane Dave, how you all doing tonight? Guys, make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you heart and retweet if you're on X. Make sure you guys check out patreon.com/ProWrestleTimes for bonus episodes of Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week and tons of other exclusive content. And I appreciate you motherfuckers so much. Let's get into this. We have a couple more. Now, I've gone off a lot about Dave's sycophants, and when he espouses bullshit, they repeat this stuff. And so at AEW Neckbeard, El Grande Neckbeard, he posted this. And I don't know if this guy's trolling or not. I've read posts from this guy, and I feel like he's trolling. But if he's not, then he's seriously demented, okay? And this guy says, Dave is right again. Okada versus Omega replaced The Rock versus Hogan as the most influential and emotional match in pro wrestling history. We laughed, we cried, we smiled, blood flowed to our midsections as we admired the physiques and cardiovascular endurance of these two beautiful men. So he's like taking a gay angle. We're kind of gay. So it's like he's got to be joking, right? Right, guys? And he goes, our hearts fluttered at every false finish. Our blood pressure rose at every twist and turn. It was raw. It was neurotic. It was emotional. It was AEW. This is a troll, 100%, and it's brilliant because he keeps kayfabe. The best trolls are motherfuckers who keep kayfabe, okay? No matter what. Just keep posting this and writing shit like this and have AEW fans glorp and glop all over this when it's clearly... Like the best is The Onion or the Babylon Bee, right? They just keep kayfabe. They make the phony headlines for like news or whatever, and it's just hilarious. Except for what The Onion did with InfoWars. That was a cringe flop. Like them buying InfoWars is so funny. That's the funniest shit. They had the chance to do the funniest thing. And then they just flopped doing like a shitty Alex Jones parody. Like, all right. Such an L. Speaking of flops. But anyways, this guy's trolling. So he goes, it was neurotic. It was emotional. It was AEW. 10 years from now, AEW will fire the final salvo. AEW will win the war, buy WWE, and turn it into a relic by adding it to the AEW Network video library, which will be $9.99 per month to purchase. And we will look back at Omega vs. Okada as the inflection point, the match that turned the tide, the match that made AEW the premier go-to for real professional wrestling. I love you, Kenny. I love you, Okada. I love you, Tony Khan. We are AEW. Yeah, this guy's in kayfabe 100%, but that's funny. That is what a Meltzer fucking stan would say. So now we have a couple random thises and that's that pertain to TNA and are TNA adjacent. This one's on the nose here with TNA, but it has to do with WWE a little bit. And Dave Meltzer says the one thing I think TNA is deathly afraid of is the idea that they're being bossed around by WWE. And it's like every action they've taken, Dave, shows the opposite of that. Okay? They get cucked out by Great American Bash that's running at the same day. Pardon me, I caught Dave's sniffles there. Excuse me, Gesundheit, bless me. NXT Great American Bash is on the CW2 the same day as Slammiversary. And I think the overlap is on the pre-show. People are saying no overlap, but I think the pre-show for TNA Slammiversary is on at the tail end of Great American Bash or whatever, right? If I'm wrong, someone can correct me. However, TNA let NXT pull up with some of their mid-underling guys and fucking cuck them out on their own TV. TNA did the showdown thing where actually TNA kind of went over on NXT. NXT did get the last laugh with all of that, but they've also made it clear they've let people out of contracts early, like Joe Hendry and Jordan Grace, in order to go to WWE a little bit earlier to make their debuts more impactful and whatnot, pun intended. TNA has talked about, WWE, like we did our TV deal, but of course them working with us helped. So everything Dave's saying here, TNA showed nothing but the opposite. They're okay. People call Carlos Silva cuck Carlos Silva. Okay? Because TNA is willing to be bossed around by WWE a little bit. So Dave, again, he just makes shit up in his mind.
The one thing I think that
and he runs with it.
They're deathly afraid of is
they're deathly afraid of the idea that they get bossed around. Okay, but they're not, because they've leaned into it, and that's what the idea is among the fans, Dave.
Idea that they're being bossed around, so they can't say it. But really, like, why would they, whose wrestlers wrestle on indies all over the world, like if Nick Nemeth wrestled in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he did, but let's just say, if he did, would TNA say you can't do this? I don't. Maybe they would. That's why he doesn't go there. I don't know. But it's like, I think it's really unfair to the talent.
Oh my God, man! So it wasn't unfair to the talent when Tone pulled fucking Ricky Saints off shows and replaced him with Jericho, because he doesn't like Ricky Saints. And it's not unfair when the fucking Lucha Bros get frozen, even though they were loyal to Tone and worked hard and worked during the pandemic and shit. And none of it's fair when you get benched. What's happening to Britt Baker? That's not unfair. None of it's ever unfair when it comes to AEW. But now TNA's like, look, dude, you can't work that guy. You can work on the same show, but it's got to be a different guy. That's so unfair, Dave. Shut the fuck up, buddy.
Just trying to make a living, and not on big salaries, to tell them, like, you can't wrestle in frickin' Mexico. It's not like it's competition to them. You can't.
Okay, but Dave, you're the one who sits there and goes CMLL. If you want to talk about sellouts and records in competition with WWE, then you talk about CMLL. So now it's not competition when it fucking favors you and you want to see your guys that you're invested in, perhaps literally and not just figuratively or like as a fan.
Wrestle in Mexico. And that's what she was faced with.
Dave owns a factory that fucking produces Mystico masks, or what? He's invested in Tone's mask operation.
Because WWE is more concerned with Mexico now because of AAA and the success of CMLL both. You got both of those reasons. Now, Mexico counts, and therefore TNA, I can't say WWE told them, but I can't. There's no logical reason that after all these months, TNA goes, hey, we don't want you wrestling in Mexico anymore. And it's not even Mexico.
So is he talking about fucking Tessa Blanchard? Hold on. Yeah, like, is he talking about Tessa Blanchard? Buddy, it was a money deal. They gave her an ultimatum. And according to them, they were going to offer more money than CMLL was offering her to stay with them, but she decided, I'm going to fucking CMLL, and maybe that's a lie in hindsight on TNA's part, and they're like, fuck, we got felted, we need to fucking be like, hey, guys, we actually were trying to give her more money than CMLL would give her, but she was getting paid more, and she said, I'm going to Mexico. So what is Dave talking about? Of course they'll give you an ultimatum when they want to fucking sell this thing and make money. It seems like they would say, Tessa, you cannot appear in CMLL, and especially because they're partnerships with WWE, and maybe WWE didn't even tell them shit, and they just, as a courtesy, were like, listen, Tessa, you gotta stay with us. You can't go to CMLL. We're beefing with AEW right now. And they're about to go on more Thursdays next month and shit, head to head with TNA. They're going head to head with us. Fuck them. They poached our rascals and stuff like that, and then fired one of them and humiliated him. And then we had to hire him back at a fucking premium. Fuck AEW. You can't work with them because they're partnered with them. It could have just been TNA too, Dave. God damn it.
It was CMLL. And she had the chance. She could have stayed, but she made her choice, and it was just like, if I can only pick one, she picked CMLL. If it was another time, she might have picked TNA.
No, if it was just another paycheck, Dave. You didn't read about any of this, and you're speaking as if you know.
I mean, she went to TNA to get into WWE anyway, really. If no one
is that true? That was the rumors that they were allegedly giving her a test run, and if she could shake the you're a racist chants and stuff like that, that WWE was eyeing her up for possibly NXT, possibly main roster, apparently a dream match backstage. And again, these are fucking rumors, but backstage again, man, they talked about Dirty Dom and Jericho so much that I'm pretty sure Dirty Dom talked about it publicly. That was a match being thrown around. Tessa and Charlotte Flair is a match that people are like, that could be a fucking banger for WWE, but can she get along with people backstage? Is she gonna cause problems and shit? But Dave is trying to, again, just embellish the truth here, or he just simply doesn't know what he's talking about. And again, if I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm Phil S. Marks. This is a fucking comedy A-logging show where I fucking mark out about wrestling. I don't need to be right. I'm not the news like Dave Meltzer. I'm not CNN Observer like Dave Meltzer.
Say that because you can't.
I'm not the all-seeing eye. When people go, actually, Phil, this is what it is. And I go, oh, thank you for fucking... People do that in the comments. They go, this person already wrestled there or something. And I go, okay, thanks for the correction. I was unaware. Or chat, we got it wrong, right? Or I go to chat. I go, chat, what's up? Dave doesn't do that. He just tells Bryan stuff. And even if Bryan knows better, Bryan just sits there and takes it while Dave tells him he knows better. It's fucking crazy.
The one thing I think that
so he speaks more about Tessa Blanchard and about why she chose CMLL over TNA. And he's going to extrapolate more than what Tessa said. She was given an ultimatum. CMLL books her more and pays her more. So she picks CMLL. It's that simple.
So the Tessa Blanchard thing, I actually had written about it a couple weeks ago. She was the fallout to this war in Mexico.
There's no fall. Oh my God, Dave. She was the fallout to this war in Mexico. No, she was not the fallout, Dave. She was not the fucking fallout.
And that
it had nothing to do with the fucking war other than the ultimatum TNA gave her, which could just be a TNA call.
Why this became an issue with TNA. I mean,
it's not like a fallout because she just went to go get paid more and get booked more, and TNA fumbled her.
Why it did. It shouldn't have, but it did. And what happened was...
It's just so dramatic, the fallout of the war of Mexico. Is it a war in Mexico right now?
Somebody was upset that she was working for CMLL, which is on the AEW side. And since in the United States...
And why is it okay, so for Dave, it's like ROH, New Japan, they work with AEW. Oh, if you're on the WWE side, it's so bad. But then he condescends, he talks well, because they're on the AEW side. So what, Dave, are you saying you want everybody to hold hands and sing Kumbaya and work together and monopolize? So if Tone just bought all the wrestling companies, that would be fine. And if everybody held hands and just went, yeah, we'll put AEW wrestlers on Raw every week, because Will Ospreay's a god. Is that what you want, Dave? Because they're on the AEW side? Well, of course, they're the competitor. You call them, Tone, your best friend, calls them fucking Harvey Weinstein Company. So, yeah, they're not going to want to fuck with you if you're on the AEW side.
States, TNA is on the WWE side. TNA basically told her that you got to choose. And they offered her a deal, so it's not like it's budget cutting, and it's funny because, like Brian James is probably going to come in for the same money, if not more than Tommy Dreamer.
Exactly. See, that's exactly what I said. And Dave's sitting here fucking, I said this, I was talking about this weeks ago or whatever the fuck about the war in Mexico. Exactly. So for everybody like, oh, they're budget cutting. I don't know. I've stayed fence sitting, Phil. I've been optimistic about it the whole fucking time because I'm like, listen, they also just re-signed Trey Miguel long-term. They just signed Myla Grace left, but they signed Tasha Steeles. Right? And then, Daria Ray might leave and they lost Tessa Blanchard, but they got rid of Tommy Dreamer, but they're bringing in Road Dogg and shit. And they signed Fabian Eichner, and they might bring in another WWE guy they're teasing who's won singles titles. They brought Amazing Red back. So, like, are they budget cutting, or are they just, like, not working with some of the people who maybe they don't want to work with creatively and shit anymore? I don't fucking know, man. But Dave's sitting there acting like, oh, it's the fallout of this war. No, it's not a war over this war in Mexico. If it was some fucking war, this is what WWE would have done. Really? Ready? They would have pulled up to Tessa and went, what's your TNA deal? Okay, we'll buy you out of that. We're signing you, and we want you to go to AAA. And you're going to be in Perros del Mal, or you're going to be going after the women's title. You're going to fight La Catalina next. That's what they would fucking do. If it was some war where it's ultimatums and WWE's calling the shots, then they'd have just hit up TNA and went, oh, no, you're not going to lose her. Let's get her on the phone. She just went to TNA to get into WWE in the first place. Dave just said that. Then why didn't WWE pick up the phone, call, and go, no, you're coming here? Because it's not about the war aspect. It's about TNA's shifting things around, and they fucked up and fumbled Tessa. And they thought they were going to give her an ultimatum when they haven't been booking her. They haven't given her anything juicy since the AMC deal started, realistically. And they're shifting around creative, and she felt she was getting lowballed. And then in hindsight, they're like, oh, we were going to give her more money. It's like, okay, they just fumbled her. Like, it can just be that too. It has nothing to do with WWE. Why didn't WWE? They have billions. They weren't just going to call her and go, okay, you're going to debut in AAA. So she went to TNA to end up in WWE. So WWE let TNA fumble her for them. That doesn't even make sense. You're coping.
Or I would figure, I don't know. But with Tessa, they offered her a deal to stay, but it was going to be exclusive, and she made the call. I think if she was being used well by TNA, she might not have made the call she did. But, let's face it, she went to TNA to open up the door to WWE. If she went to TNA and there were no problems, that obviously was her career goal. And it wasn't going to happen. We've seen, they're if they were going to take her, they'd have taken her. So I think that, she works a lot more in CMLL. Her boyfriend is in CMLL. And that was the call. If she was like on top in TNA, maybe she'd made a different call. I don't know. But that was basically it.
So Dave just saying nothing nobody doesn't already know. And I hate how, so when if you want to say quote unquote report this stuff on PWT Live Show or Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week, I go, Tessa Blanchard left because this, then I give my theories why and all of this stuff. But Dave talks definitively, like he's in her brain, and goes, yeah, so that's exactly what happened. I was in the room when they made the call. That's how he talks about this shit. And it's like, you just added nothing that everybody doesn't already know. And then you tried to make it about AEW because you make everything about AEW.
Choice. And that was the choice she made.
No shit, Sherlock. Great detective work, Dave. So now Dave talks about Tommy Dreamer. Okay. And he talks about, how a lot of people had a lot to say about Tommy Dreamer since his departure from TNA. Now watch Dave again add nothing to any of this. Meanwhile, I did an hour 45 in-depth fucking segment. Could have been a standalone podcast. I thought about doing it as a standalone podcast. And I went off for an hour 45 about Bully Ray, Tommy Dreamer, past shit, Bully getting dragged leading into it. How Dave's theories that fucking Bully was trying to take heat off Dreamer. I broke down all the fucking different stories. Watch Dave. He's going to add nothing to any of this.
Tommy Dreamer is done with TNA, and in the aftermath, we have had several people coming out of the woodwork in the business talking about negative experiences that they
And
had
again,
with Tommy.
Dave could lay out the history. He's a fucking wrestling historian who wrote everything down. Doesn't do that. He's just going to talk like he knew what everyone was thinking in the moment, and he was the one who made the call.
Tommy Dreamer. And then other people are coming forward to say, no, Tommy Dreamer was a great guy, and you must not be telling the entire story and this and that. So
there's multiple stories. Here's the thing, I brought this up so many times. This is a very different business today than it was 20 years ago. And I mean, Brian, every time you're in a locker room,
I was in one this weekend.
Brian, and now look at this shit. And Brian, every time, so Dave's going to talk like he knows what it's like to be in a wrestling locker room. And I bet Dave would go, I've been in many. If you're a Fed and Dave's been in your locker room, you need to go to fucking jail. You should be shunned from the wrestling business and locked up for life. And then Dave goes, Brian, in the locker rooms you've been in. And Brian's like, I've been in a bunch.
Brian, every time you're in a locker room.
I was in one this weekend.
When there's people from one generation and then this generation, right? It's like two different worlds. It's like,
Dave, you don't know that. How about you say, well, Bri, why don't you talk about the difference in the generations?
Freaking worlds collide almost. And but Tommy Dreamer is from that other world. And some of the people from that other world adapted
the
to
other world. The other world. I'm trying to think of fucking the Lost World. I was gonna say Jurassic Park, the Lost World. I was gonna call it the other world, but I'm like, that's not what it is. I'm redacted, guys. I was like, that's not what it is. It's not the other world. It's like the Lost World or whatever.
The people stayed.
There's a fucking movie though that just came out, or it's coming out right away, where these people get transported, like their neighborhood goes to like Jurassic times on another world or something. I want to see that movie. I don't even know what it's called, but I saw the trailer.
In that other world while the world changed. And, I mean, it's not a defense at all. This world, the other world was
this world, the other world, the world. Holy fuck, Dave, you don't make sense. You lack charisma. Bry's tired. It's 2:30 in the morning. He wants to go home. You already slapped Garrett around. You're spurging out. You're adding nothing new. You don't even fucking know what you're saying. Oh, this world, that world, this world. Okay, you say he's from the last generation and they did shit differently. Dave can't explain it. Go and listen to my fucking breakdown. It's way better than this.
Horrible to women. It just was, and a lot of stuff doesn't age well. And what can you say? I'm sure the people who are in that world and know Tommy Dreamer and think he's a great guy, and then the people in the new world, in this
the new world order, Brian. In the new world, the new world order.
He had Cuervo with him the whole time too.
The World Economic Forum, Brian.
You fucking mark. Or people who
Klaus Schwab, Brian.
Who are
the new world order.
These stories today are going to go, what the fuck? And that is the situation. I mean, I read some of the stuff and it's like, I'm not stunned.
I'm not stunned. I'm not stunned. That's a sound clip. Listen.
No, I mean, I read some of the stuff and it's like, I'm not stunned.
But I am stone cold stunned, Brian.
It reads horribly.
But he's getting to a but. They clip it there because they know he's going to sound like a dumbass. And that's all you ever do, Dave, is sound like a fucking dumbass. And that's why this show exists. That's why this show will always exist. I can't even talk. I'm redacted now. It's rubbing off. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dave Meltzer's dumb moment of the week.
Where's the guy that has papers everywhere in this room?
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for being here. I am Phil S. Marks, and I will see you guys for Sicko Saturday Time Cop. See you there. We got a long Sunday stream as well coming up with all of these pay-per-views and PLEs and whatnot. Be good. Polish your flutes. Peace and love.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. You're overdue. I just felt it's something that makes you look good, and that's cool, and you know, I'm all for it, but I think you need to tone this down because now it's getting obtrusive to the show. But they can go in the afternoon for a U.S.
Hold
show,
on a second.
as they did there, and they
Dave?
can do 180,000 buys for an afternoon show, which they've also done for All In. So
Okay,
we
hold
know
on.
they can do. We know they can do big.
Can I
numbers for an
continue
afternoon.
this before you cut me off? We know one thing.
Yes. They,
We know it
No, I'm
might
not-
have done well because
I'm
it went
not-
on first.
I'm not saying it would.
Here's my thing, Dave.
But here's okay. Wait. Okay, here's the thing. Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it didn't mean anything to me. It was just a match.
That's the problem, Dave. It should mean something to you.
Give him a quick squash win just to show that, like, you know, he's not a loser.